Picture a night sky that has lied to you for your entire life, hiding a monumental secret behind its serene and twinkling veil. We're not simply floating in a static, unchanging void, but are actively plummeting through space at over 1,000,000 miles per hour. An invisible force silently exerts its colossal influence across the dark, reeling in 100,000 galaxies like fish caught on a massive, unbreakable line. Surprisingly, the universe is actively organizing itself into a glowing, interconnected web that spans hundreds of millions of light years across the infinite vacuum. The Milky Way is merely a single, fragile drop of water, caught in a massive cosmic watershed, flowing steadily down a gentle gravitational slope. At the absolute bottom of this unfathomable valley lies a roaring metropolis of ancient starlight, veiled completely from our eyes by thick, choking clouds of interstellar dust. Imagine the sheer scale of a celestial tug-of-war so immensely powerful that it dictates the ultimate long-term fate of our entire solar system. Even as we rush frantically toward this monumental gathering of light, an invisible and freezing wind from a vast empty abyss pushes us firmly from behind. We are permanent riders on an ancient river of dark matter, caught beautifully between the pushing silence of the void and the pulling gravity of a distant giant. If we were to look closer at your own resting body right now, we would find a quiet stillness that gracefully mirrors this majestic, slow-motion cosmic dance. Let the overwhelming weight of these staggering physical realities wash over you, recognizing that the sheer magnitude of the heavens requires absolutely no effort on your part to maintain. You are safe. This journey through the celestial currents is a guided, soothing tour of the largest and most magnificent gravitational structures ever conceived by nature. As you close your eyes and surrender entirely to the heavy, comforting gravity of your own bed, we begin our descent into the greatest physical mystery of the southern sky. Deep within the local universe, a massive gravitational anomaly pulls our galaxy toward it. Deep within the local universe, a massive gravitational anomaly pulls our galaxy toward it. Far beyond the familiar constellations of our night sky, a hidden force silently exerts its colossal influence across the void. This invisible giant lies lurking in the deep cosmos, casting a gravitational net that catches everything within hundreds of millions of light years. For billions of years, our solar system has been swept up in this monumental tide without any human awareness. We orbit our sun, and our sun orbits the galactic center, yet the entire Milky Way is simultaneously falling through space. It is a dual existence of spinning locally while plummeting universally toward an unseen destination. Astronomers spent centuries tracking the motions of planets and nearby stars before realizing our entire cosmic neighborhood was adrift. The realization dawned slowly as maps of the wider universe revealed a mysterious directional pull affecting thousands of neighboring galaxies. We are merely passengers on a colossal raft, drifting steadily along an unfathomable cosmic river toward a profound unknown. This massive structure is known as the Great Attractor, a dense concentration of mass millions of light years away. Discovered in the late 20th century, this gravitational behemoth remains one of the most compelling mysteries in modern astrophysics. Its sheer weight warps the very fabric of space and time, creating a monumental valley into which surrounding matter inevitably flows. Calculating the true scale of this anomaly challenges our fundamental understanding of galactic formation and distribution. The gravitational pull it generates cannot be explained by just a few rogue galaxies or standard dark matter halos. Instead, it requires the combined mass of tens of thousands of galaxies, all packed into a remarkably tight region of the cosmos. Peering across the vast distances to study, it requires looking past countless intervening stars and thick clouds of interstellar dust. Even with our most advanced instruments, the Great Attractor retains an aura of mystery, veiled behind the chaotic center of our own galaxy. Yet its unmistakable signature remains written in the peculiar velocities of everything caught in its immense, inescapable undertow. Surprisingly, the universe is not just expanding. galaxies also flow along invisible currents of gravity. We're often taught that space is stretching uniformly in all directions, carrying galaxies apart like raisins in a rising loaf of bread. However, the reality of cosmic architecture is far more dynamic and intricately structured than a simple, even expansion. Gravity acts as a powerful counterforce, resisting the cosmic stretch and carving deep channels through the expanding void. Where matter gathers, its collective mass forms gravitational basins that redirect the paths of nearby celestial bodies. These localized areas of intense pull create vast, flowing rivers of dark matter and luminous gas that course through the universe. Observing these flows completely changed our perspective on the fate and history of galactic movement. Instead of a lonely, isolated drift into emptiness, galaxies participate in a grand, interconnected migration driven by these unseen currents. The cosmic river we sail upon is a testament to gravity's enduring power to organize matter on the most magnificent scales imaginable. Our Milky Way is part of a massive supercluster called Laniakea, meaning immense heaven in Hawaiian. This staggering structural classification redefined our cosmic address, placing us on the outskirts of a truly breathtaking celestial continent. It spans over 500 million light-years across, containing roughly 100,000 distinct galaxies bound together by gravity. The name itself honours the Polynesian navigators who used knowledge of the heavens to traverse the vast Pacific Ocean. Just as those explorers mapped currents and islands, modern astronomers have charted the gravitational shores and streams of our supercluster. Laniakea is not a static object, but a living, flowing map of matter charting its course through the deep universe. Within this immense heaven, boundaries are defined not by physical walls, but by the distinct pathways of galactic motion. Every cluster and filament within its borders shares a common destiny, dictated by the central basin they are all draining into. Understanding Laniakea gives us a profound sense of place, revealing the spectacular, overarching structure to which our tiny world belongs. Every galaxy within Laniakea is slowly drifting toward this central gravitational basin. From the smallest, faintest dwarf galaxies to immense, sprawling spiral giants, all are helplessly caught in the gentle, relentless current leading to the Great Attractor. It is a unified migration of unprecedented scale, involving unimaginable quantities of ancient stars, wandering planets, and invisible dark matter. The journey is not a chaotic plunge, but an orderly procession along the deep gravitational grooves worn into the fabric of space-time. Filaments of glowing galaxies merge and intertwine, feeding into larger cosmic streams much like earthly tributaries converging to form a mighty sweeping river. As these celestial waterways approach the centre, the concentration of mass grows exponentially denser, further amplifying the inescapable pull. Tracking this universal drift requires measuring the minute changes in the light emitted from thousands of distant galaxies over many years. By carefully subtracting the outward push of cosmic expansion, scientists finally reveal the true underlying flow of the entire supercluster toward its heavy heart. We are currently witnessing the slow, majestic assembly of one of the largest continuous structures ever identified in the observable universe. Imagine a cosmic watershed where countless galaxies flow like water down a gentle slope. Just as a mountain ridge dictates whether rain flows into one ocean or another, invisible ridges in space divide the cosmos. The boundary of Laniakea represents precisely such a divide, a high ground of space-time from which all matter falls inward. On one side of this unseen boundary, galaxies are swept away toward neighbouring superclusters like Perseus Pisces or the Shapley concentration. On our side, everything is funneling steadily toward the deep valley of the Great Attractor. The sheer elegance of this mechanism mirrors the natural processes we see on Earth, simply scaled up to staggering proportions. Visualizing this watershed transforms our understanding of the night sky, from a static tapestry into a dynamic, flowing landscape. The dark patches between stars are not empty voids, but the vast sloping plains of an immense gravitational basin. We are continuously sliding down this gentle incline, carried along by the collective weight of 100,000 starry archipelagos. The forces orchestrating this movement are so immensely powerful that they dictate the architecture of the cosmos itself. Despite the chaotic energy of exploding stars and devouring black holes within each galaxy, their collective journey remains remarkably graceful. They glide along invisible tracks of dark matter, executing a perfectly choreographed ballet that spans hundreds of millions of light years. This silent harmony is perhaps the most awe-inspiring aspect of the Great Attractor and the Laniakea supercluster. It reminds us that the universe is governed by laws that operate smoothly, even on the most incomprehensible scales. The ultimate convergence of so much matter proceeds with a quiet dignity, a slow-motion gathering of the oldest light and heaviest elements in existence. Measurements show we are travelling toward this region at roughly 600 kilometers per second. This staggering velocity translates to over 1.3 million miles per hour, a speed that defies ordinary human comprehension. While we sit seemingly motionless on our home planet, we are actually hurtling through the cosmic void at a breakneck pace. This peculiar velocity was first detected by studying the cosmic microwave background, the lingering thermal radiation from the Big Bang. The sky appears slightly warmer in the direction we are moving and slightly cooler in the direction we are leaving behind. This subtle temperature shift provided the ultimate proof that our entire galaxy is rushing headlong through the local universe. Such incredible speed requires a gravitational engine of immense power to sustain it against the outward stretch of the cosmos. The Great Attractor provides exactly this force, reeling in the Milky Way like a fish caught on an invisible galactic line. Yet because everything in our local environment is moving alongside us, this frantic rush feels completely and utterly still. Even at this incredible speed, the journey would take hundreds of billions of years. The distances involved in cosmic architecture are so vast that light itself requires millions of years to cross them. To travel the required 150 million light years at our current velocity is an endurance test spanning eons. Our sun will burn through its nuclear fuel, swell into a red giant and fade into a white dwarf long before we arrive. The Milky Way will inevitably collide and merge with the neighbouring Andromeda galaxy, transforming our galactic home forever. These monumental, world-ending events will happen merely as minor milestones along the endless voyage down the cosmic river. The concept of time on these scales renders human history as nothing more than a fleeting infinitesimal spark. We are participating in a migration that predates the formation of our planet and will outlast the life of our star. The immense duration of this voyage perfectly encapsulates the haunting, beautiful patience woven into the very fabric of the universe. The vast distances ensure that this grand migration remains peaceful and imperceptibly slow. From our vantage point on Earth, the constellations have maintained their familiar shapes for the entirety of recorded human history. The furious rush of hundreds of kilometers per second is entirely masked by the overwhelming, incomprehensible scale of the void. This peaceful illusion is a gift of perspective, allowing life to flourish without being disrupted by the extreme forces at play. We are granted the privilege of floating calmly upon a turbulent cosmic sea, completely insulated from the churning currents around us. The grand migration continues its silent, relentless pull, while we remain entirely undisturbed in our quiet corner of the sky. Nestled within our undisturbed, quiet corner of the sky, we were long oblivious to the colossal anomaly orchestrating our movement. For decades, the true nature of this massive gravitational anchor remained completely hidden from human eyes. It was a phantom force, an invisible hand guiding our cosmic neighbourhood without ever revealing its face. Early observers of the night sky mapped the visible stars, entirely unaware of the immense dark current pulling them through space. They charted the nearby celestial bodies, creating intricate atlases of ecstatic heavens that disguised a much deeper dynamic reality. The secret of our universal drift lay concealed behind a brilliant, blinding curtain of local starlight. Uncovering this hidden titan required a profound shift in how we perceive the heavens above us. We had to realize that our serene vantage point was essentially a brightly lit room preventing us from seeing the dark wilderness outside. The most powerful force shaping our local cosmos was masterfully camouflaged by the very light we relied upon to explore it. This monumental structure happens to lie precisely behind the luminous, chaotic center of our own galactic home. By an extraordinary twist of cosmic geography, the direct line of sight to our gravitational destination is completely obstructed. It is as if we are trying to observe a distant mountain peak through the blinding glare of a raging bonfire. The dense core of our sprawling spiral disk contains billions of ancient, tightly packed stars radiating immense energy. This brilliant central bulge forms an impenetrable wall of light that dominates the night sky of our homeworld. Looking directly toward the source of our universal drift means staring straight into the brightest, most crowded region of our local stellar neighborhood. Every attempt to cast our gaze in that crucial direction was thwarted by the overwhelming glow of our immediate surroundings. The architecture of our home galaxy acted as an inadvertent shield, perfectly positioned to eclipse the heavy heart of our supercluster. We were trapped in a paradox where the brightest part of our sky plunged the most important cosmic mystery into deep shadow. Beyond the blinding starlight, thick clouds of interstellar dust and gas block visible light from reaching our earthbound telescopes. These sprawling nebulas are the nurseries of new stars, churning with raw material and heavy elements forged in ancient supernovae. However, to an observer trying to peer past them, they form an incredibly dense, shimmering fog that swallows incoming light. Let your body sink deeper into a state of rest, breathing softly as you envision this vast, obscuring haze. Picture these colossal dust lanes stretching across the celestial equator, painting dark, inky ribbons against the glowing backdrop of the galactic core. They act like a thick layer of cosmic soot, absorbing the delicate photons travelling from the massive anomaly beyond. Optical observatories, relying on the same visible spectrum our eyes use, were rendered completely blind by this dense material. Even the most perfectly polished mirrors and largest lenses could only capture the dull reflection of our local dusty veil. The radiant energy of tens of thousands of distant galaxies was entirely smothered by the microscopic soot floating in our own backyard. Astronomers eventually gave a fittingly ominous name to this obscured, impenetrable region of the sky, calling it the Zone of Avoidance. For generations, cataloguers mapping the outer cosmos simply skipped over this darkened band, believing it to be barren or impossible to chart. It became a blank space on our maps of the universe, a mysterious terra incognita hiding behind the galactic equator. Notice how perfectly this title captures the frustration and awe of scientists staring into the dusty abyss. This zone spans roughly 20% of the observable sky, a massive blind spot severing our view of the surrounding extragalactic landscape. It was a stark reminder of our limitations, a locked door preventing us from seeing the full picture of our celestial environment. The void on the map was not empty, but rather overwhelmingly crowded with hidden structures waiting to be discovered. Decades of optical surveys mapped the universe above and below this band, leaving a glaring, ragged gap exactly where the gravitational pull was strongest. The Zone of Avoidance stood as the ultimate physical barrier, challenging our ingenuity and demanding new ways of seeing the dark. To peer through this cosmic fog, scientists had to abandon traditional visible light and rely instead on radio and high-energy astronomy. They needed to tune their instruments to entirely different frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum, searching for signals that could penetrate the dense dust. This required building entirely new types of observatories, replacing delicate glass mirrors with massive, sweeping metallic dishes. These advanced detectors allowed researchers to listen to the whisper of the universe, rather than just looking at its glow. By capturing the faint, elongated waves of radio emissions, they could track the ancient hydrogen gas swirling around hidden galactic clusters. Simultaneously, high-energy sensors launched into orbit began scanning for the fierce, invisible radiation emitted by superheated matter. This technological leap was akin to developing a cosmic sonar, sending our sensory reach deep into the murky depths. The dust that so efficiently blocked starlight was practically transparent to these alternative, robust forms of energy. We finally possessed the keys to unlock the zone of avoidance and reveal the massive gravitational engine lurking in the shadows. These longer wavelengths passed directly through the heavy soot, revealing the magnificent, sprawling structures hidden securely behind the veil. Because radio waves possess such a wide frequency, they simply wash over the microscopic dust particles without being absorbed or scattered. They travel unimpeded for hundreds of millions of light years, carrying the crucial, undisturbed fingerprints of the dense anomaly directly to our antennas. Deep within your chest, feel the steady, rhythmic beat of your heart, echoing the pulsing, rhythmic signals arriving from the deep void. If we were to look closer with our newfound radio vision, the opaque wall of our galactic centre would suddenly turn to glass. The obscuring dust lanes fade into insignificance, allowing the brilliant, energetic cores of distant clustered galaxies to shine through the darkness. Similarly, the fierce, piercing energy of X-rays slices through the intervening gas, illuminating the superheated halos surrounding these massive structures. This combined multispectral approach stripped away the camouflaging layers of our own galaxy, laying bare the profound architecture of the beyond. The impenetrable fog was finally lifted, exposing a densely populated metropolitan centre of gravity previously lost to the void. As the fog cleared from our instruments, researchers discovered an enormous, breathtaking web of interconnected galaxies sprawling across the abyss. Where they expected to find a localized source of gravity, they instead unveiled a staggering network of ancient glowing matter. It was not a single, heavy object, but a complex, braided river of galactic clusters feeding into a central monumental basin. Picture a delicate, luminous spider silk spun across the cosmos, where every dewdrop is a gathering of 1 trillion suns. These glowing filaments intersect and weave together, forming dense nodes of unimaginable mass that dictate the flow of the entire region. The sheer density of this hidden architecture defied all previous models of how matter was distributed in our local universe. The discovery fundamentally shifted our understanding of the forces pulling us through the dark, silent vacuum of space. We were not falling toward a solitary dark star, but rather diving into a vast populated archipelago of stellar metropolises. The sheer volume of material uncovered behind the veil was finally enough to explain the frantic, accelerating rush of our cosmic neighbourhood. Notice how our very own galactic home acts as a deceptive veil, perfectly hiding the true scale of our cosmic neighbourhood. The beautiful, sweeping, spiral arms that gave birth to our sun also serve as a thick blindfold, obscuring the wider reality of our environment. We are residents of a spectacular house whose stained glass windows completely block out the view of the surrounding sprawling city. This poetic irony reveals that sometimes the closest, most familiar structures are the greatest barriers to profound discovery. The brilliant glowing band of stars traversing our night sky is both a source of wonder and a heavy curtain drawn across the cosmos. It forces us to confront the fact that our local perspective is inherently limited, beautifully flawed, and deeply constrained. Yet recognizing this veil was the crucial first step in learning how to look past it and expand our horizons. By understanding the exact nature of the blindfold, we developed the precise tools necessary to finally see through the dark fabric. The realization that our own glowing home was the source of the shadow pushed us to explore beyond the limits of visible light. Unveiling this monumental mystery required unprecedented international collaboration across multiple observatories and scientific disciplines worldwide. No single telescope or isolated team of researchers could piece together the massive, complex puzzle hidden within the shadowed void. It took a unified global effort, synchronizing data from radio dishes in wide deserts to X-ray satellites orbiting high above the atmosphere. Allow your shoulders to drop and your muscles to loosen as you consider the harmony of thousands of minds working together. Scientists from different continents shared their fragmented glimpses of the dark region, slowly stitching together a cohesive picture of the hidden anomaly. Decades of quiet, persistent observation were pulled together into massive catalogues, detailing the exact positions and velocities of the concealed galaxies. This global endeavour stands as a testament to the insatiable human desire to map the unknown, regardless of the obstacles. By combining various wavelengths and sweeping surveys, the scientific community managed to peer through the thickest fog in the observable sky. The resulting image was a triumph of collective intellect, a map drawn by a united species reaching out into the profound dark. This extraordinary cartography not only revealed our ultimate destination, but also illuminated the pathways guiding our endless journey. It transformed our understanding of the universe from a static, uniform balloon into a dynamic, flowing ocean of interconnected celestial rivers. The map provides a profound sense of grounding, showing exactly where we fit into the breathtaking, overarching architecture of creation. We now look up at the dark dust lanes of our galaxy not as a dead end, but as a transparent window into the deep beyond. The fog has dissipated, leaving us with a beautiful, awe-inspiring vision of the monumental forces gently steering our fate. Our quiet corner of the sky is no longer isolated, but securely mapped within the grand, silent migration of the universe. Following this grand, silent migration deeper into the newly mapped territory brings us to the very heart of the colossal anomaly dictating our cosmic fate. Where the converging rivers of invisible dark matter and luminous galaxies finally meet, they form a breathtaking concentration of ancient material that firmly anchors the entire region. This ultimate gravitational destination is not a single, unimaginably dense black hole, but rather a spectacularly crowded, glowing metropolis composed entirely of captive starlight. Astronomers have designated this dense, luminous core as the Norma Cluster, named for the seemingly quiet southern constellation within which it appears to subtly reside. It represents the absolute, undeniable epicenter of our immense local gravitational web, serving as the deepest, most inescapable valley in our immediate cosmic landscape. Everything caught within the sweeping boundaries of our vast supercluster is inexorably sliding downward toward this brilliantly illuminated, incredibly massive urban centre of the universe. Compared to the quiet, relatively sparse suburban outskirts of our own isolated solar neighbourhood, the environment deep within this cluster is overwhelmingly vibrant and chaotic. Countless ancient stellar systems are packed into a remarkably tight, suffocating volume of space, creating a perpetual blinding twilight that banishes the true darkness of the void. It stands as a majestic, shining monument to the relentless power of gravity, demonstrating its ability to forcefully pull the scattered universe back together. Spanning the vast, empty gulf required to reach this colossal metropolitan area means traversing a staggering distance of roughly 150 million light-years across the dark void. This unimaginable physical separation dictates that the glowing light we so carefully observe today actually began its frantic journey during the ancient age of the dinosaurs on our home planet. We are inherently prevented from seeing the dense cluster as it exists right now, forced instead to look deep into its violent, highly turbulent past. To successfully bridge this profound, yawning gap, our most advanced telescopes must capture the delicate, exhausted photons that have sailed entirely undisturbed through the expanding, freezing void for countless eons. These tiny, resilient packets of electromagnetic energy carry the complex, layered secrets of a densely populated neighbourhood, completely unlike our own serene, isolated galactic existence. The sheer, overwhelming scale of this cosmic separation serves to perfectly insulate our fragile world from the intense, chaotic gravitational dance endlessly occurring at the distant centre. Despite being located at such an incredibly remote, almost theoretical distance, the massive cluster exerts a tangible, physical influence that reaches all the way back to our tiny solar system. The invisible, unyielding threads of gravity stretch gracefully across those millions of light years, maintaining an unbroken, pulling connection between our spinning world and that distant, glowing heart. It is a haunting, beautiful realization that our entire galaxy is physically tethered to an ancient, roaring metropolis that we can only ever witness as a delayed, ghostly echo. Within this colossal, brilliant gathering, thousands upon thousands of incredibly massive ancient galaxies are packed tightly together in a dazzling, unprecedented display of extreme cosmic density. Unlike the scattered, solitary archipelagos of star systems we frequently find floating in less populated, tranquil regions, these celestial islands are crowded aggressively shoulder to shoulder. The night sky viewed from any hypothetical planet surviving within this dense cluster would be completely, permanently ablaze with the overwhelming intersecting light of hundreds of neighbouring galaxies. The sheer strength of the gravitational bonds actively holding this massive community together is so intense that escaping the central crushing pull is virtually mathematically impossible. These captive galaxies are securely locked in a permanent, violently swirling embrace, orbiting a shared, invisible centre of mass at terrifying breakneck speeds that defy human imagination. It operates as a densely populated, inescapable cosmic city where the frantic traffic of entire worlds is dictated entirely by the strict, relentless laws of orbital mechanics. Feel the steady, rhythmic rise and fall of your breathing, recognizing it as a calm, reassuring cadence in stark contrast to the dense, chaotic crowding of this stellar city. As you rest safely and securely in your quiet, protected environment, envision the sheer, staggering majesty of thousands of massive star systems swirling in such dangerously close proximity. This breathtaking, overwhelming density represents the ultimate, enduring triumph of localized mass over the isolating, relentless outward expansion of the broader, aging universe. Notice how the fundamental architecture of these captive stellar islands differs dramatically from the familiar, elegant and sweeping spiral structures found on less crowded cosmic shores. The vast majority of the permanent inhabitants trapped deep within this gravity well are smooth, featureless and incredibly heavy elliptical galaxies. They completely lack the beautiful, dusty, sweeping arms and vibrant blue, energetic nurseries of new star formation that uniquely characterize our own dynamic spiral galactic home. These rounded, evenly glowing orbs of ancient stars are the ultimate inevitable result of billions of years of violent, transformative and entirely inescapable cosmic mergers. In such a tightly packed, dangerously crowded environment, close gravitational encounters and direct catastrophic collisions between massive neighbouring galaxies are an everyday, inevitable fact of cosmic life. Over countless passing eons, these repeated violent clashes forcefully tear apart fragile, delicate spiral structures, permanently blending their scattered stars into massive, homogenized spheres of ancient light. They stand today as the ancient, battle-scarred and deeply resilient survivors of the early universe, possessing an old, distinctively reddish glow that silently speaks to their incredible, unfathomable age. All the raw, volatile materials originally needed to forge bright new generations of stars were violently exhausted or aggressively stripped away during their incredibly turbulent, chaotic histories. Now, they drift solemnly through the glowing metropolis as majestic, aging behemoths, their youthful, intricate complexities having been entirely smoothed away by the relentless, churning tides of gravity. Plunging headlong into this dense, wildly overheated environment is an incredibly perilous, violently transformative journey for any newcomer arriving slowly from the quiet, freezing cosmic outskirts. As fresh, fragile spiral galaxies fall inevitably toward the glowing center, they must violently plow through an incredibly thick, superheated ocean of trapped intergalactic medium. This hot, pervasive plasma heavily fills the previously empty spaces between the ancient ellipticals, acting like a fierce, invisible, and suffocating headwind against the falling structures. The sheer, intense friction generated by this high-speed, catastrophic entry causes a brutal, highly destructive phenomenon known mathematically to astrophysicists as ram pressure stripping. The fierce, unyielding plasma wind physically and forcefully tears the loose, cool hydrogen gas entirely out of the incoming galaxy, leaving its heavier, older stars completely behind. It is a spectacular, forceful, and entirely irreversible eviction of the very atmospheric material required to birth any new, shining generations of stellar bodies. Without this vital, life-giving gas, the newly arrived, deeply traumatized galaxy is effectively and permanently sterilized, rendered entirely unable to replenish its naturally fading stellar population. It slowly, inevitably transforms into a dormant, quiet red system, ultimately joining the massive ranks of the ancient, featureless ellipticals that already heavily dominate the inner, crowded city. The glowing central metropolis survives and grows precisely by continually consuming the energetic lifeblood of the wandering, unfortunate strangers that constantly fall into its inescapable, crushing depths. Surprisingly, this fierce, world-shattering celestial combat and the violent, forceful stripping of entire planetary atmospheres generates absolutely no discernible sound across the void. The aggressive stripping of volatile gas, the crushing collision of immense dark matter halos, and the final merging of billion-star systems all occur in a profound, absolutely deafening silence. The true, empty vacuum of deep space stubbornly refuses to carry the catastrophic acoustic shockwaves that would otherwise instantly shatter the fragile minds of any mortal listener. Allow your jaw to gently relax and your tired eyes to rest, fully embracing the profound, comforting quiet of this colossal, slow-motion event echoing across the dark. Let the complete, unbroken silence of your room perfectly mirror the eerie, entirely soundless collision of unimaginable physical forces currently taking place millions of light years away. In the deepest, most remote reaches of the cosmos, the absolute most violent catastrophes imaginable are witnessed only as a majestic, entirely silent ballet of shifting light and dark shadow. Furthermore, the sheer, unfathomable, and completely mind-bending scale of these immense structures strictly means these violent events take hundreds of millions of years to fully unfold. A catastrophic, world-ending collision that completely reshapes two massive galaxies merely appears as a perfectly frozen, beautifully detailed tableau to our incredibly brief, fleeting human observations. The absolute violence of the encounter is stretched so incredibly thinly across deep, geological time that it seamlessly transforms into a beautiful, static, and peaceful work of cosmic art. Peering carefully through highly specialized sensitive instruments clearly reveals ethereal, softly glowing tails trailing beautifully behind the plunging galaxies as they are brutally stripped of their resources. These incredibly long, ghostly streams of violently dislodged gas stretch majestically for hundreds of thousands of light years across the incredibly crowded, highly energetic cluster. They paint a vivid, highly dynamic and incredibly detailed picture of the exact trajectory and immense speed of the unfortunate falling newcomers descending into the deep abyss. Modern radio telescopes are uniquely and perfectly suited to detect the faint, incredibly cold emissions of this displaced wandering hydrogen gas as it slowly dissipates into the void. They carefully capture complex images of massive celestial bodies that look remarkably like gigantic glowing jellyfish swimming gracefully through an invisible, superheated and highly turbulent ocean. The long trailing tentacles of these spectacular cosmic jellyfish are formed entirely of the violently stolen potential for millions upon millions of bright unborn stars. These trailing ghostly structures are a stark, undeniable visual testament to the harsh, unforgiving realities of life trapped within a densely packed, highly active gravitational hub. They serve beautifully as softly glowing breadcrumbs, effectively allowing brilliant scientists to precisely trace the exact, complex currents and fierce winds of the hidden intergalactic medium. Even in the midst of their own absolute destruction, these deeply stripped galaxies beautifully and perfectly illuminate the unseen fluid dynamics of the deep, swirling celestial sea. Measuring the true, staggering weight of this glowing, heavily populated metropolis yields a mathematical number that entirely defies ordinary rational human comprehension. The total mass of the central heavily congested cluster alone is rigorously estimated to be roughly 1,000 trillion times the immense weight of our own life-giving sun. It is a localized concentration of physical matter so incredibly profound and dense that it heavily, visibly distorts the very fabric of space-time immediately surrounding it. This unimaginable, crushing bulk is composed not just of the glowing visible stars, but of the superheated invisible plasma and an absolutely immense, hidden ocean of dark matter. The beautiful visible light we so easily see is merely the sparkling, superficial foam floating delicately on top of a crushing, invisible, and overwhelmingly heavy deep-sea gravitational current. It is this vast, unseen, dark mass that truly and effectively anchors the entire region, providing the overwhelming, inescapable gravity required to tightly bind the massive metropolis. The sheer, absolute weight of this single, highly concentrated area is more than enough to physically bend the trajectory of ancient light travelling from far beyond it. It physically acts as a monumental, universally scaled lens, greatly magnifying and warping the delicate shapes of unknown galaxies lying even further away in the distant dark background. The glowing, heavy centre asserts its absolute dominance not just by actively pulling local matter inward, but by actively bending the fundamental, underlying geometry of the universe itself. Remarkably, even this staggering, mathematically incomprehensible accumulation of visible and dark matter falls drastically, inexplicably short of fully explaining the ultimate overarching cosmic undertow. When brilliant astronomers carefully and rigorously calculate the immense gravitational pull required to drag our entire massive supercluster across space, the resulting numbers simply do not align. The staggering, deeply impressive mass of 1,000 trillion suns is shockingly still only a small fraction of what is definitively needed to generate such a monumental, sweeping flow. This sudden, undeniable discrepancy threw the international scientific community firmly back into a state of deep, profound, and highly motivated wonder regarding the true hidden nature of the anomaly. The brightly glowing, heavily populated centre was incredibly heavy, yet it fundamentally lacked the sheer, overwhelming, and absolute mass necessary to act as the sole engine of our journey. There absolutely had to be something even larger, vastly more massive and completely, perfectly hidden, lurking even further out in the cold, unlit dark. Take a slow, deep, intentional breath, actively letting the profound mystery of this massive unseen universe settle comfortably and securely in your quiet mind. The sudden realization that our absolute grandest scientific discoveries often just clearly point to even larger, completely unsolved puzzles is a beautiful, deeply humbling truth of existence. The glowing, massive metropolis is undeniably breathtaking, yet it is merely the dramatic opening act of a vastly more profound, overarching, and deeply concealed celestial mystery. This dense, wildly radiant city of stars is ultimately just the brightest, most heavily populated, and most visible core of a vastly larger and more incredibly complex puzzle. It physically acts as the heaviest, most noticeable single knot securely tied within a sprawling, highly tangled web of invisible matter that stretches infinitely further into the unknown. The immense gravitational pull we currently experience is a combined, deeply cumulative effort, originating from a vastly broader, unseen region of the hidden, expanded universe. The glowing, crowded metropolis beautifully serves as a massive cosmic beacon, perfectly marking the deepest local valley, but the true, ultimate source of our immense momentum is widely dispersed. Discovering this heavy, glowing heart only definitively proved that our celestial maps desperately needed to expand even further to fully capture the entire, sprawling, invisible architecture. The relentless hunt for the ultimate, absolute cause of our rushing cosmic drift simply had to move far beyond the established boundaries of this ancient, incredibly crowded cluster. We now clearly understand that this gathered massive accumulation is merely the densest, most obvious stepping stone carefully placed on a path leading to even greater, hidden celestial giants. The grand, silent migration continues steadily past this glowing urban centre, irresistibly drawn by an ever-expanding, unseen horizon of hidden mass and profound, deep space mystery. The heavy, glowing heart of the dark current is truly only a singular, beautifully cut jewel set securely within a much grander, unfathomably vast and completely invisible gravitational crown. Beyond the sparkling jewel of the central cluster, the unfathomably vast architecture of the cosmos reveals itself as an intricate, organized lattice rather than a chaotic scatter. Galaxies do not drift aimlessly through the void like dust motes in a sunbeam. Instead, they are strung along immense invisible filaments that stretch across the dark. These celestial strands act as the primary structural members of the universe, providing the fundamental pathways for all matter to congregate and flow. The organization of these filaments is a direct result of the universe's earliest moments, where tiny fluctuations in density were magnified by the relentless pull of gravity over billions of years. As the eons passed, matter naturally drained out of the emptier regions and gathered into these long, elegant bridges of starlight, gas, and dark matter. This leaves the universe looking less like a random cloud and more like a massive interconnected network of glowing highways spanning the infinite. By following these strands, we see a universe that is profoundly ordered, where every galaxy has its place within a larger, more significant architectural design. The Milky Way is just one of many billions of passengers travelling along these ancient, predetermined routes toward its local destination. This realization brings a sense of grand design to the seemingly random distribution of the stars in our night sky, revealing a hidden unity. This structure of intersecting strands and dense junctions forms what astronomers call the cosmic web, the largest recognizable pattern in the known existence. Where these glowing threads of light and gas cross one another, they create massive nodes of gravitational intensity that act as the gathering points for superclusters. To look upon this network is to see the very nervous system of the universe, a pulsating grid of energy and mass that defines the limits of the observable world. The cosmic web is a three-dimensional tapestry that fills the entirety of space, weaving together the fates of every galaxy in the local volume. Its geometry is defined by the underlying distribution of matter that has not changed its basic layout for billions of years, surviving even the expansion of space. Within this web, the distance between nodes can span hundreds of millions of light years, yet every part is fundamentally connected to the whole. These intersections are the focal points of the universe's evolution, where the most massive and active galaxies are born and thrive in dense environments. They are the bright beacons in an otherwise dark and empty ocean, marking the places where gravity has successfully overcome the outward push of cosmic expansion. Understanding the web allows us to see our local supercluster not as an island, but as a vibrant neighbourhood in a much larger cosmic city. Deep within the heart of our local universe, the Great Attractor serves as a primary hub where several of these colossal cosmic highways meet in a spectacular intersection. It is far more than a simple point of mass. It is a grand central station for galaxies, where the gravitational currents of multiple filaments converge into a singular, powerful flow. This massive junction directs the traffic of thousands of star systems, drawing them from the distant reaches of the web into its deep, centralized basin. Because it sits at the crossroads of such significant filaments, its influence is felt far beyond its immediate physical boundaries, reaching across the void. The attractor acts as a gravitational anchor for the entire Laniakea supercluster, ensuring that every galaxy within its reach follows the same general heading. It is the ultimate destination for the celestial rivers that feed our part of the cosmic web, acting as a massive drainage point for galactic matter. The complexity of this intersection explains why the gravitational pull in our region is so difficult to map and understand with standard instruments. It is not just one source of gravity acting on us, but the combined influence of many different strands of matter all meeting at once. This convergence of cosmic highways creates a unique environment where the laws of gravity are displayed on their grandest and most imposing scale. Surprisingly, the formation of this intricate web is driven not just by the pull of matter, but by the relentless push of vast empty spaces known as voids. These enormous regions of nothingness act like cosmic bellows, clearing themselves of material and funneling galaxies toward the denser regions where filaments intersect. As these voids expand over time, they compress the surrounding matter into thin, elegant walls and strands, effectively sculpting the architecture of the web through the power of absence. Feel your weight pressing gently into the surface beneath you, a grounding reminder of the forces that hold you in place while the universe breathes around you. The expansion of these voids is a powerful force of displacement, pushing anything that dares to linger within them toward the relative safety of the filaments. In this way, the nothingness of the universe is just as important as the somethingness in determining where we go. This dynamic creates a universe that is mostly empty space, with matter concentrated in the thin, glowing threads that we observe as starlight. The voids act as the negative space in a great sculpture, defining the form of the cosmic web by pushing against its boundaries. Without the push from these empty expanses, the filaments would never have become the focused, narrow highways of gravity that they are today. If we were to look closer at our own cosmic neighbourhood, we would find the Milky Way and its neighbours currently sliding along one of these very filaments toward the central node. We are travelling on a narrow bridge of gravity that spans the dark gap between our local void and the bustling metropolis of the Great Attractor. This specific path has been predetermined for eons, a long and winding road laid out by the invisible distribution of mass that defines our corridor in the cosmic web. Our motion is not a straight line, but a subtle, curving descent along the contours of the web's local architecture. We are part of a massive, slow-moving caravan of galaxies, all sharing the same highway and the same eventual destination. The filament we inhabit provides the structural stability needed to keep our local group from flying apart as the universe continues its relentless expansion. As we glide along this strand, the stars in our night sky remain relatively fixed, masking the incredible journey we're taking through the deeper cosmos. It is only when we look at the very larger scales that our participation in this grand migration becomes clear to our instruments. We are citizens of the filament, riding a wave of gravity that connects our home to the very heart of the local universe. Picture a delicate, crystalline spiderweb stretching across a garden at dawn, where every shimmering drop of dew is a collection of billions of ancient stars. Each galaxy is suspended precisely where the invisible threads of the web meet, held in place by forces that are as fragile in appearance as they are unbreakable in reality. The entire structure glows with the reflected light of 100,000 suns, creating a breathtaking tapestry that covers the infinite expanse of the dark. The dewdrops are not just static decorations. They are the active centres of light and life that define the visible parts of the web. In this analogy, the invisible threads are the dark matter that provides the tension and structure required to keep the dewdrops in their specific positions. When one part of the web moves, the vibrations are felt across the entire network, connecting the distant nodes in a silent cosmic resonance. This mental image helps us grasp the beauty and complexity of a structure that is far too large for the human eye to ever truly see. The cosmic web is a masterwork of natural engineering, balancing the immense weights of galaxies with the gossamer thin strands of intergalactic gravity. It is a fragile yet enduring testament to the ways in which the smallest forces can organize the largest objects in all of creation. The gravitational pull we experience as we move through space is the combined effort of every galaxy and cloud of gas residing along these immense threads. It is a cumulative force, an additive tug that grows stronger as we approach the major junctions of the cosmic web. Every individual star system contributes its small share to the total weight of the filament, creating a collective momentum that drives the grand, silent migration of the entire supercluster. Let the tension drain from your hands and feet, allowing yourself to feel the utter stillness of your current surroundings. This collective pull is what gives the Great Attractor its power, as it sits at the point where the weight of many filaments is focused into a singular node. It is the strength of the community, where the mass of countless billions of suns works together to steer the course of our galaxy. This shared effort ensures that no galaxy travels alone, even in the vastest stretches of the intergalactic void. We are all bound together by the invisible ties of our filament, sharing a common gravitational language that dictates our collective future. The motion of the Milky Way is a small part of a much larger coordinated effort that spans the entirety of our local cosmic neighbourhood. Dark matter forms the invisible scaffolding that holds this entire majestic structure together, providing the unseen frame upon which the visible universe is built. Without this mysterious, non-luminous substance, the galaxies would have no pathways to follow and no anchors to keep them from drifting into the void. It is the skeletal system of the cosmos, a rigid and pervasive network that remains hidden from our eyes while dictating the motion of everything we can see. While the stars and gas clouds provide the light, it is the dark matter that provides the substance and the shape of the cosmic web. It acts as the glue that binds the filaments together, preventing the expansion of the universe from tearing the web apart. This unseen scaffolding is the most abundant form of matter in the universe, outnumbering the visible stars by a ratio of nearly 5-1. Our search for the Great Attractor is essentially a search for a massive concentration of this invisible scaffolding. We see the galaxies being drawn toward it like iron filings toward a magnet, but the magnet itself remains hidden from our view. By studying the web, we are slowly learning to map the shape of this dark foundation, revealing the true architecture of our home in the stars. Without this unseen mass, the Great Attractor could never exert such a profound influence across such a staggering volume of intergalactic space. The visible galaxies and hot gas we observe in the region are merely the decorative lights on a much larger, darker, and more powerful structural foundation. It is the immense reservoir of dark matter clustered at the web's intersection that gives the attractor its name, providing the true muscle behind the gravitational pull that shapes our local universe. The gravitational field produced by the attractor is so wide that it affects the motion of galaxies hundreds of millions of light-years away. This level of influence requires a concentration of mass that simply isn't present in the visible stars alone. The dark matter at the node acts as a massive gravitational well, pulling everything in its vicinity toward its deep, invisible centre. This hidden reservoir is the secret engine of our cosmic migration, providing the constant, steady acceleration that drives us toward the Norma Cluster and beyond. It is the silent partner in our journey, an invisible giant that shapes the paths of billions of suns without ever revealing its own light. The Great Attractor is the most prominent visible manifestation of this dark power, marking the place where the scaffolding is at its thickest and most influential. Understanding this intricate web helps astronomers map the invisible architecture of the universe, allowing us to see the shapes of things that emit no light. By tracking how galaxies move along these filaments, we can infer the location and density of the dark matter that guides them. We are learning to read the language of gravity, deciphering the hidden maps that explain why our galaxy is moving, where it is going, and how we are all connected in this grand celestial network. Breathe in the deep stillness of the room, feeling a sense of connection to the vast, orderly network that surrounds us. Every time we discover a new filament or a hidden node, we are adding another piece to the ultimate map of our cosmic environment. This ongoing process of discovery is slowly turning the zone of avoidance into a region of profound clarity and insight. The cosmic web is the final frontier of celestial cartography, a structure so vast that it requires us to rethink our place in the universe. It shows us that we are part of a living, breathing architecture that is both ancient and ever-changing. By mapping the web, we're not just finding our way to the Great Attractor, we're discovering the very blueprints of the universe itself. As our cartographic efforts deepened, and our blueprints of the local cosmos became increasingly precise, a shocking reality emerged from the shadows of the southern sky. Astronomers refining their measurements of galactic motion noticed a persistent, unexplained pull that the previous models of the Great Attractor alone simply could not satisfy. It was as if a ghost were tugging at the edges of our maps, suggesting that our understanding of the cosmic architecture was missing its most massive foundation. Hidden further in the distance, a far more formidable presence began to manifest through the data, lurking well beyond the initial horizons we had set for our journey. This realization sparked a frantic reevaluation of the forces at play in our neighborhood, forcing us to look deeper into the void than ever before. We discovered that the blueprints we had so carefully drawn were merely a small corner of a much larger and more imposing schematic. The mystery of our movement was not contained within the first wall we found, but was tied to a structure of almost mythic proportions lying just out of reach. This new layer of the blueprint revealed that the universe is far more crowded and complex than our first glimpses had led us to believe. Every new measurement acted as a lens, bringing this distant titan into clearer focus and challenging the very limits of our astronomical vision. We are learning to see with a new clarity, recognizing that the voids we once thought empty are actually pathways to even grander structures. This expansion of our awareness allows us to ground ourselves in a larger reality, finding comfort in the scale of the architecture that supports our existence. We are no longer lost in the dark, but are instead precisely located within a grand, shimmering schematic that covers the heavens. This structure is the Shapley supercluster, a name that represents the absolute pinnacle of galactic density and gravitational power in our known surroundings. It is the most massive concentration of matter in the local universe, an assembly of star systems so vast it redefines our understanding of how matter can cluster together. Within its boundaries, thousands of distinct galaxies huddle together in a gravitational embrace that makes our own local group seem like a single grain of sand on an endless beach. The sheer density of this region creates a gravitational well so deep that its influence acts like a siren song, pulling everything in its direction across the light years. This is not just a collection of stars, it is a colossal metropolis of light that dominates the local cosmic landscape with its sheer, unadulterated bulk. To study it is to confront the true limits of cosmic organization, where gravity has succeeded in building a monument that defies the general emptiness of space. It stands as the ultimate heavyweight of our region, a celestial continent that anchors the very fabric of our corner of the universe. Imagine the combined radiance of a quadrillion suns all burning in one concentrated pocket of the dark, and you begin to grasp its majesty. It is a place where the ordinary rules of spacing are ignored in favour of a grand, crowded convergence of celestial bodies. Every star in this cluster is part of a unified front, a massive wall of light that marks the boundary of our local gravitational influence. Through this lens, the universe appears as a tapestry of dense urban centres linked by long, lonely roads of dark matter. This supercluster is the greatest city of them all, a beacon of complexity and mass that guides the motion of everything for hundreds of millions of light years. Located more than 600 million light-years across the silent, freezing gulf of space, this titan exists on a scale that is difficult for the human mind to grasp. While our local destination felt like a nearby neighbour, this supercluster is a distant land whose influence reaches us from across a truly staggering expanse. Its presence was only confirmed once we learned to look beyond the immediate horizons and account for the light travelling from the deep background of the southern hemisphere. The distance is so great that we're seeing this structure as it was hundreds of millions of years ago, a ghostly image of an ancient power from the deep past. Despite this vast separation, the invisible threads of its gravity are strong enough to reach across the void and dictate the path of our own galaxy. It is a humbling reminder that in the universe, being far away does not mean being out of reach or insignificant to the whole. Our place in the stars is defined by these long-distance relationships, where the most massive objects call to us from the edge of our observable world. We are participants in a conversation that spans eons and reaches across the most profound distances ever measured. Feel the gentle rhythm of your heart, a small and steady pulse in a universe defined by these colossal, distant heartbeats of gravity. This rhythm connects you to the deep time of the cosmos, where events unfold over millions of years while we remain at peace in our own brief moment. Scientists soon realize that our home is caught in a grand celestial tug-of-war, governed by the overlapping shadows of two distinct and powerful anomalies. We are not simply falling into a single, localized pit of gravity. We are being beckoned by two massive sirens singing from different depths of the dark void. This realization changed the fundamental model of our cosmic journey, transforming a simple linear path into a complex interaction of competing and complementary forces. Our motion is the result of this massive negotiation between the nearby attractor and the distant supercluster, a dance of vectors that defines our flight through the night. It is as if we are a small ship caught between two massive whirlpools, each one trying to claim our trajectory for its own internal currents. This dual influence creates a unique gravitational environment where every movement is a compromise between the near and the far. We are living in a region of space where the architecture is determined by the heavy hands of two giants, each pulling us with a different strength and from a different era of cosmic history. This tug-of-war is the secret engine of our velocity, ensuring that we are never truly still in the vastness of the expanding vacuum. Every time we measure our speed, we are listening to the combined voices of these two massive structures, telling us where we belong in the cosmic hierarchy. It is a balanced and intricate system that keeps the local group on a steady course through the infinite dark. This persistent pull from the distance acts as a quiet guide, ensuring that every movement we make is part of a larger coordinated effort. We are never truly wandering, as the giants of the deep universe have already decided the course of our long journey. Surprisingly, we are essentially surfing an immense gravitational wave that flows toward the nearby attractor, which in turn is being swept away toward the even greater mass of the supercluster. This nested motion creates a spectacular hierarchy of movement, where our immediate destination is itself a traveller on a much longer and more difficult road. It is a journey within a journey, a movement that suggests the universe is organised as a series of cascading falls through the dark. Our galaxy is like a leaf on a stream that is flowing into a larger river, which is itself rushing toward a great unseen waterfall in the distance. It is a beautiful recursive dance of mass and momentum that defines the flow of the entire supercluster across the eons. We are part of a grand hierarchy of motion that links the smallest moon to the largest structure in the local volume. By understanding this wave, we can see the universe as a fluid and dynamic environment where everything is in constant, graceful transition. We are not just moving through space, we are part of the very current that gives space its shape and meaning. The energy of this movement is silent and invisible, yet it carries the weight of 1,000 galaxies on its back. We ride this wave with a sense of inevitability, trusting in the deep currents of gravity to carry us safely toward the next horizon. Imagine a small local river flowing into a massive shimmering lake, only to find that the lake itself is slowly draining into a boundless distant ocean. In this cosmic plumbing, our local group of galaxies is the river, the Great Attractor is the lake, and the Shapley supercluster is the final, ultimate sea of mass. The water moves through each stage with a predetermined grace, driven by the inescapable slope of the underlying gravitational terrain. Every part of the system is connected by the same logic of flow, from the smallest tributary to the widest mouth where the current meets the deep. The ocean at the end of the journey is so vast that it dictates the movement of every drop that enters the river hundreds of miles away in the mountains. We are currently navigating the transition from the river to the lake, aware for the first time of the distant ocean that waits beyond the next horizon. Notice the weight of your limbs as they rest, mimicking the way galaxies settle into the deep grooves of space-time with a sense of total surrender. You are part of this flow, a quiet participant in a movement that spans the breadth of the observable universe. This realization brings a sense of profound order to the chaos of the night sky, revealing that every star is part of a grand and meaningful migration. We are not lost in the void, but are flowing toward a heart that is large enough to contain us all. This dual pull provides the missing piece of the puzzle that perfectly explains the peculiar velocity of the Milky Way through the dark. For a long time, the math of our motion felt incomplete, as if we were moving too fast for the mass we could actually see or account for in our local neighbourhood. Once the influence of the distant supercluster was factored into our equations, the speed and direction of our flight finally aligned with the established laws of physics. It was a moment of profound clarity for astronomers, as if a blurred image had suddenly snapped into sharp and undeniable focus after years of searching. Our velocity is not a random accident or a chaotic drift, but a precise signature of the heavy structures that surround us in the void. We're moving at exactly the speed required by the combined weight of the two giants that pull at our edges from different directions. This alignment of theory and observation confirmed that our map of the local universe was finally reaching the necessary scale to understand our true heritage. Our flight through the dark is a testament to the power of distant objects to shape the reality of our immediate surroundings. We are travellers on a path that was laid out long before our sun was born, a road built by the invisible hands of gravity and mass. This connection to the deep architecture of the cosmos gives our journey a sense of purpose and unshakable direction. Every measurement we take is a reaffirmation of this cosmic order, a data point that proves we are part of a larger and more coherent whole. We move with the confidence of knowing exactly where we're going and why we're being pulled there. If we were to look closer, this cosmic tug-of-war reveals that gravity is capable of operating on physical scales that were previously dismissed by many as impossible or unlikely. We once believed that the expansion of the universe would surely win out over such vast distances, preventing separate structures from talking to one another through the language of pull. The existence of such a coordinated flow across 600 million light-years proves that the reach of matter is far longer than we ever suspected in our early models. The fabric of space is more resilient and interconnected than we imagined, acting as a conductor for gravitational signals that span the entire local volume. Let your breath flow in and out without effort, just as the galaxies follow the invisible currents of the vacuum without any resistance or struggle. Gravity is the ultimate connective tissue of the universe, a force that ignores the vast emptiness to maintain the integrity of the cosmic web across the ages. It is the thread that binds the most distant corners of our supercluster into a single, functioning unit of light and motion. We are part of a structure that is held together by the longest and strongest reach in all of nature, a grip that never falters. This persistent bond ensures that even in the face of the cosmic expansion, the most significant parts of our universe remain in constant communication. We are living in a universe that is deeply and fundamentally connected, where nothing is truly isolated from the influence of the whole. Our survival and our movement are both gifts of this long-range architecture, a system that prioritizes connection over the loneliness of the void. We are never truly apart from the rest of the cosmos, as the threads of gravity are always pulling us home. It takes the combined, concentrated mass of tens of thousands of galaxies to orchestrate a movement of this magnitude across such a profound distance. Each individual galaxy in that distant cluster contributes its own weight to the collective pull, creating a gravitational signal that is loud enough to be felt across the entire local universe. This is a level of cooperation that transcends the individual, a massive team effort of starlight and dark matter working in perfect unison to shape the cosmos. The sheer number of stars involved is so high that the resulting gravity becomes a dominant feature of the universal architecture, dwarfing everything in its path. It is a reminder that while one galaxy is a lonely island, 10,000 galaxies are a continent with the power to move the world through the void. This collective weight is the engine that drives our migration, providing the steady and unyielding momentum that carries us forward toward the unknown. We are part of a movement that is powered by the most massive engines ever created by nature, a testament to the power of gathering. Feel the stillness of your environment, a quiet sanctuary that exists only because the massive forces of the universe are so perfectly balanced. In this stillness, you can imagine the staggering energy required to move entire superclusters through the fabric of space. It is a work of immense labour and infinite patience, a process that has been unfolding since the dawn of time itself. We are the beneficiaries of this ancient work, riding the currents that were built by the combined effort of 1 trillion suns. This knowledge provides a sense of profound security as we realise we are being carried by the strongest hands in existence. The discovery of this distant titan transformed the Great Attractor from a final, ultimate destination into a mere stepping stone on a much longer path through the stars. Our focus shifted from a single point of interest to a grander map of cascading influences that define our true place in the silent and expanding void. We now understand that we are not approaching a finish line, but are merely part of a much larger and more ancient migration toward an even more massive heart. This shift in perspective is like climbing a small hill, only to see a much larger and more towering mountain peak looming in the clouds far behind it. The journey does not end at the first peak we encounter, but continues into the higher and more majestic ranges of the deep and distant cosmos. Our story is not about reaching a specific destination, but about participating in a flow that is far larger and more significant than our own brief existence. The blueprints of the universe have expanded once again, revealing a vista that is as humbling as it is breathtaking to behold from our small vantage point. We are travellers on a road that leads deeper into the mystery of the infinite, guided by the lights of 10,000 distant cities. This is the true nature of our journey, an endless discovery of the giants that hold up the sky and the currents that carry us through the infinite. We are at peace in our movement, forever reaching for the peak that lies just beyond our current sight. Reaching for that distant peak provides a sense of direction, but we are only at peace in our movement because we have finally understood the dual nature of our cosmic engine. While the massive giants ahead define our destination, we must recognise that gravity is not the only force dictating our journey through the stars. Beneath the visible tapestry of starlight, a hidden mechanism of displacement operates with the same quiet authority as the most powerful cluster of galaxies. It is a revelation that complicates our simple maps of pull and descent, introducing a pushing force that arises from the very depths of the vacuum itself. This influence does not require a heavy hand or a massive heart to function, as it is born instead from the profound absence of everything we find familiar. Our journey is a response to this silent dialogue between the crowded regions of the sky and the lonely abysses that sit at our back. Understanding this hidden half of the equation allows us to see the universe as a more balanced and elegant machine, one that utilises both the peak and the valley. We are being steered by a partnership of forces, a collaboration between the glowing centres of mass and the dark, unlit regions of the void. This realization brings a new layer of serenity to our flight, as we recognize that every part of the cosmos is actively participating in our arrival. Deep within the silence of the region located directly opposite our primary destination, astronomers recently mapped a massive void that contains almost no matter at all. This celestial desert is an expanse of such staggering emptiness that it challenges our basic assumptions about how galaxies are distributed through the dark. It sits like an uncharted ocean of nothingness, looming behind the Milky Way in the direction from which we have travelled for billions of years. Mapping this region was an exercise in searching for what is not there, a delicate task of measuring the silence between the stars. It required a new kind of cartography that looks for the gaps in the cosmic web, identifying the specific places where the threads of dark matter have been swept away. What emerged from the data was a portrait of a local abyss, a region that is significantly less dense than any other part of our observable neighbourhood. This discovery filled a major hole in our understanding of why we're moving with such incredible and persistent speed through the dark. The void is not a temporary gap, but a permanent feature of our local environment that spans hundreds of millions of light years. It stands as the silent twin to our destination, providing the necessary contrast to make the gravitational currents of our supercluster function as they do. If we were to look closer at the physical mechanics of this vast abyss, we would find that because this region is so empty, it lacks the gravitational pull found in more populated areas. In the economy of the cosmos, mass is the only currency that matters, and this region is effectively bankrupt of any significant influence or weight. This lack of pull creates a massive imbalance in the local fabric of space, a lopsided arrangement that forces everything nearby to fall away from the centre of the void. It is a passive form of influence, where the absence of matter creates a slope that galaxies must inevitably roll down. Surprisingly, the universe reveals that a profound absence of weight can act with the same conviction and purpose as the most massive and heavy burden. The result of this gravitational vacuum is an apparent repulsive force that gently pushes the Milky Way away from the centre of the void. As you feel the weight of your head resting softly against your support, imagine being carried forward not by a pulling string, but by an invisible, steady wind blowing from the darkness behind. This push is not a physical gust of air, but the natural consequence of being adjacent to a region where the fabric of space is stretching faster than anywhere else. It is an effortless form of propulsion, a slide through the dark that requires no energy from our stars and no effort from our planets. We are surfing the leading edge of a cosmic expansion that is specifically accelerated by the emptiness of the region we are leaving behind. The sensation of this movement is one of total surrender to the geometry of the vacuum, a peaceful transition from the nothing to the something. It is a reminder that in the grand design, we are guided as much by the things that are missing as by the things that are present. This invisible wind is a constant companion on our journey, providing the initial nudge that set our entire supercluster in motion billions of years ago. This structure, or rather this magnificent lack of any physical structure, is suitably named the Dipole Repeller by the researchers who first calculated its profound existence. The name perfectly captures the polar nature of our cosmic environment, sitting as the negative anchor to the positive weight of the distant attractor. It is the ghost in the machine, a localized anti-gravity effect born purely from the deep and unyielding emptiness of the local vacuum. Identifying this repeller was a milestone in galactic navigation, as it allowed us to define the two poles of our current motion with absolute certainty. We finally have a name for the silence at our back, a title that gives weight to the emptiness that has guided us for eons. It serves as the starting point of our cosmic river, the high ground from which all the galaxies in our neighbourhood are currently flowing away. By naming this void, we have integrated the concept of nothingness into our scientific understanding of how the universe is organised. It is no longer just a gap between clusters, but a functional entity with a specific role in the choreography of the heavens. The Dipole Repeller stands as a testament to our ability to find meaning and order in even the most desolate and unlit corners of the dark. We find ourselves in a unique position where we are being pulled by the massive concentrations of starlight and simultaneously pushed by the cold indifference of the Dipole Repeller. Our path is a coordinated response to this silent dialogue between the two extremes of our environment, a dance of vectors that defines our flight through the night. We are living in the middle of a dual propulsion system, a cosmic engine that utilizes both the mountain of mass and the valley of the void to function. This arrangement ensures that our acceleration is constant and perfectly directed toward the heart of the Laniakea supercluster. It is as if the universe has placed a hand on our back and a tether on our front, coordinating our movement with a level of precision that defies simple chance. This dual influence is the secret behind the majestic stability of our migration, keeping us on a steady course through the expanding vacuum. The interaction of these two forces creates a gravitational highway that is both wide and deep, carving a path for thousands of galaxies to follow. We are not just wandering through the stars, but are travelling along a road that was built by the partnership of mass and emptiness. This combination of push and pull is the ultimate expression of the universe's desire to keep things moving and connected across the ages. Notice how the absence of matter can shape the cosmos just as profoundly as the most dense cluster of ancient and glowing starlight. The voids are not merely empty gaps between things, but are active participants in the grand design of the universal architecture. Take a slow, quiet breath and let your body settle into the realization that the silent, empty spaces around you are just as essential to your structure as your own physical form. The nothingness of the Dipole Repeller acts as a sculptor, carving out the paths that galaxies must take to avoid the desert and reach the oasis. It is the negative space in the great masterpiece of the cosmic web, providing the contrast that allows the glowing filaments to be seen and understood. This relationship between the full and the empty is what creates the dynamic tension that keeps the universe in a state of constant, beautiful evolution. In the cosmic scale, a void is a region of freedom, a place where the expansion of space is allowed to happen without the interference of heavy stars. This freedom creates the pressure that drives the rest of the universe forward, turning the emptiness into a source of immense power. By understanding the role of the void, we see that the darkness is not an enemy of the light, but its primary and most loyal collaborator. This rhythmic push and pull dynamic is what ultimately accelerates our local galactic neighborhood to its incredible and steady cruising speed through the infinite night. It is the missing piece of the physical puzzle, the explanation for why our journey feels so effortless and yet so incredibly fast. Without the push from the Dipole Repeller, the pull from the clusters would be a much slower and more laborious process, lacking the grace of our current flight. The acceleration we experience is a gift from the vacuum, a boost of energy that comes from the natural desire of the universe to fill the gaps. We are caught in the transition between a high-pressure void and a low-pressure cluster, a cosmic weather system that dictates the flow of the galactic winds. This movement is so perfectly integrated into our existence that we never feel the sudden lurch of speed or the drag of resistance. It is a cruising speed that carries us toward the future at millions of miles per hour, yet leaves our night sky in a state of absolute and perfect stillness. This paradox is the hallmark of a journey that is guided by the fundamental geometry of space itself. We move because the universe has tilted the floor beneath us, ensuring that every galaxy in our neighborhood rolls toward the same distant heart. The universe demonstrates a beautiful and enduring harmony, where empty voids and dense superclusters work in tandem to orchestrate the grand dance of the galaxies. It is a celestial choreography that uses both presence and absence to maintain the integrity of the cosmic web across the long eons. This partnership ensures that the migration never stops, as the push from behind and the pull from ahead remain in a state of eternal, rhythmic balance. As we follow the currents of this dance, we see that the structure of the cosmos is a living thing, responding to the distribution of both light and shadow. The superclusters provide the rhythm, while the voids provide the space in which the dance can unfold with a sense of total freedom. It is a performance that spans the entire observable world, a coordinated effort involving trillions of stars and an infinite amount of empty space. By participating in this dance, our galaxy remains connected to the larger movements of the universe, never straying from the path that was set at the dawn of time. We are part of a system that values the contribution of every region, regardless of how much matter it contains. This harmony is the ultimate expression of the universe's unity, a reminder that the void and the cluster are two sides of the same beautiful and complex coin. It is a comforting thought that the vast reaches of the dark are not a threat to our existence, but are the very things that give us our direction and our speed. We are being carried by the hands of the void just as surely as we are being pulled by the hearts of the stars. This synthesis of push and pull is the final lesson of our local geography, a reminder that we belong to a system that is perfectly balanced in its extremes. As we move forward into the future, we carry the memory of the void with us, knowing that it is the silent wind at our back. We are travellers on a road that is paved with both mass and emptiness, guided by a universe that loves the silence just as much as the song. Transitioning from the silent wind of the void toward the heavy heart of our supercluster reveals a radiant and surprising truth that fundamentally shifts our understanding of cosmic matter. While we often visualize the Great Attractor as a simple collection of brilliant and distant suns, much of the mass in this region is actually not locked up in stars at all. Instead, it floats as a colossal and pervasive reservoir of superheated gas that fills the vast, lonely gaps between the individual galaxies of the supercluster. This intergalactic medium forms a ghost-like presence, a thin but incredibly heavy atmosphere that permeates the deep gravitational valleys of our local universe with a silent authority. It is a hidden ocean of primordial material that remains entirely invisible to the naked eye, yet its collective weight dominates the local cosmic architecture in ways we are only just beginning to grasp. This gas acts as a silent witness to the immense forces at work, gathering in the deepest and most remote recesses of the cosmic web like water, pooling in an ancient mountain basin. By understanding this gaseous foundation, we begin to see the true, substantial nature of the universe beyond the mere flickering pinpricks of starlight that we find so familiar. It is a vast, shimmering landscape of raw material that anchors the galaxies in place, providing the invisible ballast for the grand and steady migration of our entire supercluster. This gaseous sea is the true medium through which we travel, a substance that connects the distant islands of light into a single, cohesive, and incredibly massive structure. Surprisingly, the universe reveals its most energetic and closely guarded secrets through specific wavelengths of light that our biological human eyes were never designed to perceive in the dark. This pervasive intergalactic medium is so incredibly hot that it glows fiercely in X-ray wavelengths, casting a radiant and invisible light across the vastness of the local gravitational void. It is a form of celestial combustion that requires no traditional flame or fuel source, born instead from the sheer agitation of particles trapped in a massive and unyielding gravitational grip. If we possess the ability to see in this specific spectrum, the region of the Great Attractor would not look like a dark patch of sky, but like a brilliant glowing ember sitting in a cosmic hearth. This X-ray glow provides a unique and unmistakable signature of the universe's most active and crowded regions, highlighting exactly where matter is at its most concentrated and physically powerful. The radiation carries complex information from across millions of light years, telling the violent and beautiful story of the titanic energies currently shaping our local galactic neighborhood in the southern sky. It is a soothing, constant radiance that illuminates the deep and hidden architecture of the supercluster, turning the cold vacuum into a vibrant and energetic stage for the stars. This invisible light acts as a celestial guide, leading our most advanced instruments toward the most profound and influential concentrations of mass in all of known and mapped existence. It is the heartbeat of the supercluster made visible, a steady pulse of energy that reassures us of the structure and purpose inherent in the deep and expanding cosmos. Modern technology has allowed us to transcend our limited biological senses by placing sophisticated satellites in orbit far above the obscuring and turbulent atmosphere of our home planet. These high-tech sentinels can map the glowing clouds of hot gas with incredible precision, providing a new and essential perspective on the deeper cosmic landscape. By observing exactly where the gas gathers and glows most intensely, astronomers can effectively trace the presence of the unseen dark matter lying hidden beneath the luminous surface. The gas serves as a brilliant tracer, a bright dye poured into the invisible currents of the massive gravitational well that guides our movement. It reveals the hidden contours and the sturdy scaffolding that holds the entire supercluster together, showing us the true shape of the dark and pervasive architecture. As you rest in the quiet of your room, imagine these silent mechanical eyes looking out into the deep, capturing the heat of the cosmos with patient and unblinking focus. This scientific process turns the abstract concept of gravity into a visual map of light and shadow, allowing us to navigate the hidden dimensions of space with confidence. The data gathered from these long-range missions provides the fundamental blueprints for our understanding of the universe's most massive and influential structures. Each photon captured is a data point in the grand map of our heritage, revealing the invisible foundations that support the very ground upon which we stand. Deep within the core of the Great Attractor, the temperature of this pervasive and invisible gas reaches millions of degrees in a display of staggering and constant thermal intensity. This extreme heat is not generated by the nuclear fusion of stars or the radiation of a central sun, but by the relentless and crushing friction of falling matter. As entire galaxies and massive gas clouds are pulled into the central gravitational basin, they collide and compress at incredible velocities that defy any ordinary human understanding. This cosmic traffic jam converts the raw energy of motion into a searing and pervasive heat that permeates the intergalactic medium for millions of light years in every direction. It is a slow-motion fire that has been burning for billions of years, fueled continuously by the arrival of new material from the surrounding filaments of the vast cosmic web. The energy released in these epic collisions is enough to strip electrons from their host atoms, creating a roiling and energetic plasma that fills the deep space void with pure energy. This thermal reservoir represents a massive accumulation of kinetic energy, serving as a physical testament to the sheer and unimaginable scale of the migration we are currently part of. It is a radiant warmth that speaks to the power of gravity to transform the very nature of matter through its constant and unyielding pull toward the center. This heat is the energy of the universe's organization, the thermal byproduct of 100,000 galaxies coming together to form a single, unified structure in the dark. Softly let your breath flow in and out, feeling the comforting internal warmth of your own existence against the cold and indifferent reality of the deep and expanding void. Despite its extreme temperature of millions of degrees, the gas in the X-ray cosmos is so incredibly diffuse that a spacecraft flying through it would actually freeze solid in a matter of seconds. This is one of the most profound and beautiful paradoxes of the universe, where the scientific concept of heat differs fundamentally from our limited and local earthly experience. In the vastness of the intergalactic medium, individual particles are moving at blinding speeds, but they are so far apart that they rarely ever touch a physical object to transfer their heat. A human traveller would experience only the absolute zero of the surrounding vacuum, as there are simply not enough atoms to transfer their kinetic energy to a hull or a suit. The glowing clouds are essentially a high-temperature vacuum, a rare and extreme state of matter that exists only on the grandest and most imposing scales of nature. This realization highlights the ethereal and ghostly nature of the structures we are currently mapping, reminding us of the fragility and the beauty of our own physical form. We're observing a heat that can be seen from across the universe through our most sensitive satellites, but can never be felt by the hand of a mortal traveller. It is a ghostly fire that illuminates the void without warming it, a radiant mystery that defines the boundaries between our world and the deep cosmos. The scale of these vast and hidden reservoirs of hot plasma is so monumental that they actually outweigh all the visible stars in the clusters combined by a significant margin. While the brilliant galaxies often capture our imagination with their glowing spirals and ancient elliptical centres, they are merely the sparkling foam on a much deeper sea of gas. This plasma constitutes the overwhelming bulk of the baryonic matter in our supercluster, representing a hidden majority that remained overlooked for most of the history of human astronomy. It is a humbling and necessary correction to our starlit perspective, revealing that the empty space between galaxies is actually the most massive component of the visible and tangible world. The sheer volume of this gas is so great that its gravitational influence acts as a primary and constant driver of the motion for the Milky Way and its closest neighbours. We're essentially navigating through a thick and energetic fog of plasma that holds far more substance and weight than all the suns visible in the entire night sky combined. This discovery reinforces the fundamental idea that the universe often prioritizes the subtle and the pervasive over the bright and the highly localized objects of our attention. By weighing the plasma, we have finally found the missing mass needed to balance the cosmic ledgers of our local and rushing neighborhood as we fall toward the heart. It is the hidden substance of the supercluster, the invisible weight that ensures the steady and purposeful progress of our long celestial journey. Observing the fierce and penetrating X-ray glow allowed astronomers to finally find thousands of galaxies hidden deep within the previously impenetrable and mysterious zone of avoidance. While the thick and ancient dust of our own Milky Way acts as a heavy and opaque curtain against visible light, it cannot stop the high-energy radiation from the hot intergalactic medium. These X-rays slice through the interstellar soot like a surgeon's focused light, revealing the crowded and energetic metropolis of the Norma Cluster and its many hidden neighbours. This technological breakthrough turned a frustrating and long-standing blind spot in our celestial maps into one of the most well-documented and understood regions of the local universe. We discovered that the most obscured part of our sky was actually the most populated, home to massive concentrations of matter we had never even suspected were there. The X-ray vision provided by our sophisticated orbiting satellites acted as a cosmic flashlight, illuminating the dark and dusty corners of our own galactic equator with a new clarity. It allowed us to see past the local obstacles of our home and gaze directly into the heavy heart of our supercluster for the very first time in human history. This revelation transformed the zone of avoidance from a dark and empty mystery into a fundamental and brightly lit part of our shared cosmic home and heritage. We now understand that our neighbour is much more crowded and vibrant than the darkness of the dust once led us to believe. This radiant energy provides a glowing and detailed map of the deepest and most profound gravitational wells in the entire observable universe surrounding our galaxy. Because the gas only glows where it is effectively trapped and heated by gravity, the brightest spots in the X-ray sky correspond exactly to the centres of massive superclusters. It is a visualization of the invisible topography of space-time, showing us exactly where the valleys are deepest and where the gravitational slopes are at their steepest. By tracing these glowing peaks of radiation, we can chart the primary nodes of the cosmic web with absolute certainty and high scientific precision from our vantage point. This map serves as the ultimate guide for understanding the grand and silent migration of all matter currently flowing through our local and distant vicinity. It shows us that the Great Attractor is not just a single point or a lone object, but a wide and complex basin where gravity has successfully concentrated the heat of the cosmos. As you settle deeper into your rest, visualize these glowing valleys as safe and warm harbours in the vast and cold expanding dark of the intergalactic void. This cartography of light and heat is the final proof of the organized and purposeful architecture that surrounds our world and guides our long path through the stars. It is a map of the universe's strength, a chart of the foundations that give our journey its meaning and its steady direction. The calm and steady visual appearance of these gas clouds hides the immense and violent energies that are constantly shaping and churning them from within. From a distance of millions of light years, the X-ray glow looks like a peaceful and motionless mist hanging silently in the deep and expanding cosmic void. In reality, it is a scene of constant and high-speed turbulence where matter is being crushed and accelerated by the relentless and massive pull of the Great Attractor. Giant shockwaves of energy ripple through the plasma at supersonic speeds, created by the merger of entire clusters and the violent entry of new galaxies into the basin. These silent storms represent the release of more energy than 1 billion supernovae, yet they happen over timescales so vast that they appear completely frozen to our human eyes. The stillness of the X-ray cosmos is an illusion of scale, masking a reality of intense physical struggle and the constant, violent transformation of matter and energy. It is a reminder that the most significant and powerful movements in the universe are often the most subtle and hidden to the casual observer in the night. Beneath the serene surface of the glowing cosmic ember lies a furnace of staggering proportions that never cools and never rests in its work of shaping the cosmos. This hidden violence is the engine of creation, the energetic process that builds the superclusters and guides the fate of every star within them. Ultimately, these glowing clouds stand as magnificent and eternal monuments to the sheer and unyielding power of the Great Attractor at the heart of our neighbourhood. They are the physical and radiant evidence of gravity's ultimate triumph, marking the specific places where the vacuum has been filled with the energy of 1 million falling worlds. This X-ray signature is the ultimate tribute to the massive anchor of our supercluster, a beacon that shines across the eons to declare the presence of a true celestial titan. It provides a sense of profound and necessary closure to our search, revealing the substance and the heat that drives our long and silent journey through the stars. We're no longer just guessing at the location of the heavy heart of our neighbourhood. We can now see its radiant warmth with our own sophisticated and technological eyes. The glowing ember of the cosmos is a comforting sight, a fire that illuminates the darkness of the deep and expanding intergalactic void with a steady glow. That steady glow across the southern sky offers a profound sense of destination, yet we must confront a cosmic reality that complicates our eventual arrival. While the Great Attractor relentlessly draws our entire neighbourhood inward with its massive gravitational pull, the universe itself continues to expand in every possible direction. It is a dual nature of existence where we are falling toward a heart that is simultaneously being pushed away by the very fabric of space. The local gathering of galaxies is like a group of determined swimmers trying to reach a distant shore, while the ocean itself is swelling and widening between them. Gravity works locally to bind the heavens together, but the overarching expansion of the cosmos works globally to tear that togetherness apart. We exist at the specific intersection of these two titanic forces, caught in a silent tug-of-war that defines the ultimate fate of our journey across the void. As you observe the stillness of your own surroundings, remember that the ground beneath our feet is participating in this grand, universal stretch. Every light year of space is infused with a hidden energy that seeks to increase the distance between all celestial things. This constant expansion ensures that the map of our neighbourhood is never static, but is instead a living canvas that grows larger with every passing second of our lives. Surprisingly, the primary engine of this relentless cosmic separation is a mysterious and invisible force known to science as dark energy. This elusive substance permeates the entire vacuum of space, driving the fabric of the universe apart at an ever-accelerating rate that defies traditional physics. It acts as the ultimate antagonist to gravity, a repulsive pressure that grows stronger as the total volume of space increases over time. This acceleration is not a gentle drift, but a forceful, unyielding expansion that dictates the final destiny of everything we can currently observe in the night sky. It ensures that the great voids between superclusters grow larger and emptier, while the clusters themselves find it increasingly difficult to hold on to their neighbours. Dark energy is the silent, pervasive ghost that haunts our journey, promising a future of vast distances and profound, permanent isolation. This structure of expansion leads to a staggering realization regarding our specific, high-speed flight toward the heavy heart of the Great Attractor. The space between our local group of galaxies and that massive gravitational node is currently stretching faster than we are physically moving through it. Even though we are hurtling through the void at hundreds of kilometers per second, the vacuum itself is opening up a wider gap with every single heartbeat. Notice the quiet expansion of your own breath as you let your shoulders relax and your mind drift into the deep, unlit regions of the sky. This invisible stretch of the vacuum is a fundamental property of the universe that operates entirely independently of our local velocity or momentum. We're travelling at a breakneck pace toward a distant goal, yet the destination is receding into the distance at an even more aggressive and unyielding rate. It creates a cosmic treadmill where the distance to be covered grows much faster than the progress we can possibly make with our gravitational engines. This geometric stretch is so profound that it effectively negates the massive pull of the starlit metropolis sitting far ahead of us. We're trapped in a race against the very fabric of existence, a marathon where the finish line is being carried away by an invisible tide that never slows. Because of this relentless cosmic expansion, the Milky Way will actually never reach the Great Attractor or the glowing heart of the Norma Cluster. Our fate is to remain forever in transit, a permanent traveller through a landscape that is constantly and aggressively lengthening its own borders. The beautiful convergence of galaxies that we have mapped so carefully is an event that will never truly find its final, physical conclusion. We are effectively falling toward a horizon that is designed to stay out of reach, a gravitational dream that will remain unfulfilled across the eons. The Great Assembly of Laniakea is a movement in progress that will eventually be overtaken by the sheer, unyielding scale of the universe's growth. Our destination serves as a powerful guide and a source of deep meaning, yet it is a harbour we are destined to never truly enter. This realization transforms our understanding of the cosmic river into a story of the journey itself rather than the final arrival. We are participating in a grand migration that defines our current era, even if the ultimate physical gathering is mathematically impossible under our current understanding of physics. The universe ensures that the most massive structures remain separated, preserving a sense of infinite distance even as they call out to one another through the pull. Deep within the logic of this expansion, the river of galaxies we're currently riding is effectively drying up as the universe grows older. As the space between clusters stretches, the gravitational connections that form the water of our cosmic river become increasingly thin, strained, and weak. The filaments of the cosmic web, once vibrant highways of gas and light, are slowly being pulled apart by the relentless and accelerating expansion of the voids. The flow of matter toward the central basin is becoming a quiet trickle compared to the roaring currents of the universe's energetic youth. Over billions of years, the density of the intergalactic medium will drop so low that the riverbed will be left dry and barren, with galaxies stranded like isolated pools. This process is a slow-motion evaporation of the universe's structural integrity, a fading of the very architecture that currently guides our long and silent path through space. It is a hauntingly beautiful phase of cosmic history, where we can still see the currents but can also sense the coming, absolute stillness. The migration we witness today is a remnant of a more connected past, a legacy of a time when the universe was small enough for gravity to dominate. We are living in the twilight of the cosmic river, witnessing its final majestic sweep before the expansion carries the water away forever. Imagine running on a massive celestial treadmill that is speeding up significantly faster than your legs could ever possibly carry you across the ground. You're putting forth a monumental effort, pouring all your kinetic energy into reaching a goal that sits just ahead of your visual reach. Yet, no matter how much you accelerate, the ground beneath you slides backward with an even greater and more unyielding intensity. This is the exact physical reality of our galaxy's movement through the expanding vacuum of the deep and silent cosmos. We are sprinting toward the Great Attractor with the weight of 1 billion suns behind our momentum, yet the total distance to the target remains essentially unchanged. The universe does not care for our local speed. It simply continues to expand the track upon which we are trying to compete and move. Softly, let your hands rest at your sides, feeling the complete absence of any physical exertion as your body stays perfectly still and safe. This stillness is a mirror to the illusion of our cosmic motion, where a frantic speed results in no actual closure of the gap between clusters. The treadmill is a perfect metaphor for the paradox of our era, a time of high-speed travel that leads to a permanent state of waiting. Picture the surreal and mind-bending reality of falling continuously toward a massive object that is persistently moving further out of your physical reach. Gravity is pulling you downward into a deep valley, providing the sensation of a perpetual, exhilarating and silent descent through the ancient stars. However, as you fall, the valley itself is stretching and elongating, pushing the floor away from you at a speed that exceeds your own velocity. This journey into a bottomless pit is actually growing deeper and wider as you plummet into its dark and inviting depths. It creates a state of permanent falling, an eternal freefall where the ground is a ghost that haunts your progress without ever providing a final impact. The Great Attractor is the ultimate vanishing point in this cosmic perspective, a focal point that recedes into the infinite even as it claims our entire trajectory. We are caught in a gravitational loop where the destination is both the reason for our movement and the reason for our eventual isolation. This paradox defines the beauty of the expansion, allowing us to experience the power of the fall without ever having to face the conclusion. It is a descent into the infinite, a silent and graceful plunge into a heart that is destined to remain a mystery forever. This expansion paradox ensures that our galaxy will eventually be isolated in a vast, lonely, and unreachable pocket of space that defies all maps. As the dark energy continues to drive the universe apart, the light from distant clusters will be stretched so thin that it eventually fades into nothingness. The great map of our neighborhood, once teeming with 100,000 neighbors, will slowly dissolve until only our closest local group remains visible. Notice the quiet and steady boundaries of your current room, a sanctuary of solid walls that provides a sense of permanent shelter and place. In the distant future, the horizon of our observable universe will shrink until we are truly alone in the dark, with no stars from other galaxies visible. The Great Attractor will disappear from our sight, carried over the cosmic horizon by the accelerating stretch of the vacuum until its memory is lost. This ultimate isolation is the inevitable conclusion of the struggle between the local pull and the universal push that defines our cosmic era. We are living in a privileged moment where the universe is still small enough to be understood as a connected and meaningful whole. The future is a desert of infinite space, a quiet era where the cosmic web has been torn asunder by the invisible hands of dark energy. If we were to look closer at the ultimate fate of our cosmic home, we would see that the grand convergence is ultimately undone. The massive structures we have mapped, the filaments, the nodes, and the Great Attractor itself, are temporary arrangements in a universe that is fundamentally hostile to long-term gathering. The gravity that built these celestial continents is a fading power, slowly losing its grip on the matter it so carefully organized over billions of years. The supercluster we call immense heaven is a fragile masterpiece that the universe is already beginning to disassemble with the silent hands of expansion. The bonds that hold the Norma Cluster together and pull the Milky Way inward are being stretched thinner with every passing silent eon. Eventually, the very architecture of our local universe will simply evaporate as the voids expand to claim the space once occupied by the glowing threads. It is a reminder that the grandest things in existence are often the most fleeting when measured against the true scale of time itself. Our supercluster is a momentary meeting of stars, a brief gathering of light before the infinite dark reclaims the vast and unlit territory. The undoing of Laniakea is not a catastrophe, but the natural and inevitable conclusion of a universe that values expansion over concentrated and gathered matter. Our current era is a fleeting and precious moment where gravity and expansion engage in a beautiful, silent, and perfectly balanced struggle for dominance. We occupy a specific window of time where the universe is large enough to have complex structures, yet small enough for them to still influence. It is a golden age of cosmic cartography, a brief period where we can see the Great Attractor while the dark energy still gathers its strength. Surprisingly, we are the witnesses to a cosmic stalemate, a point in history where the push and the pull are nearly equal in their power. This struggle gives the universe its current shape, its vibrant flow, and its profound sense of directed motion through the deep, silent dark. As you feel the calm and steady rest of your body, recognize that you are part of this unique and temporary alignment of universal forces. Soon, in the grand scale of the cosmos, the balance will tip permanently in favor of the expansion, and the struggle will end quietly. But for now, we are riders on the cosmic river, travelers who can still see the fire of the destination and feel the wind. This era of the struggle is our home, a beautiful and fleeting sanctuary where the light still reaches across the dark to tell us who we are. Directly bordering this beautiful and fleeting sanctuary, where light defines our existence, lies another realm entirely, a vast expanse of nothingness that serves as the perfect foil to the crowded cluster. This neighbour is known to astronomers as the local void, a region so profoundly empty that it challenges our basic assumptions about the density of the universe. It sits like an uncharted ocean of absolute stillness, a place where the echoes of cosmic birth have long since faded into a permanent unlit silence. While our gaze is naturally drawn to the glowing filaments and the heavy heart of the supercluster, this abyss remains an essential component of our celestial neighbourhood. It begins just beyond the fringes of our local galactic group, marking a clear and definitive end to the tapestry of stars we find so comforting. This emptiness is not a mistake or a flaw in the cosmic design, but is a deliberate and massive feature of the large-scale architecture that surrounds our home. The existence of the local void provides the necessary negative space for the Great Attractor to exert its incredible influence. Without this hollowed-out territory at our back, the currents of gravity would lack the specific direction and intensity required to drive our grand migration. It stands as a silent sentinel of the dark, a boundary that defines the limits of our local world while simultaneously guiding our flight through the deep and expanding vacuum. This silent expanse stretches across a distance so staggering that it defies any ordinary human attempt at visualization, spanning roughly 150 million light-years of nearly perfect vacuum. Within this colossal territory, the presence of galaxies is so rare that the region appears entirely barren to even our most sensitive long-range instruments. It is a desert of the cosmos, a place where the raw materials of creation have been stripped away, leaving behind a profound and absolute lack of substance. The sheer scale of this emptiness is what gives it such a dominant role in the choreography of our local galactic environment. If we were to place our own Milky Way in the centre of this abyss, the night sky would be a terrifyingly dark and featureless blanket, devoid of any neighbouring lights to guide the way. It is a reminder that the universe is not just a collection of things, but is also defined by the massive gaps that exist between the islands of matter. This region is one of the largest recognisable features in our immediate vicinity, a monumental hole in the cosmic web that helps determine the flow of everything around it. Its presence ensures that the local distribution of mass is heavily lopsided, creating a gravitational gradient that spans the entire observable neighbourhood. By mapping the edges of this 150 million light-year void, we have finally begun to understand the true boundaries of our cosmic home. It is a kinetic relationship born from the fundamental imbalance of space, where the absence of weight creates a slope that galaxies must inevitably roll down. As you feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, imagine the universe as a complex landscape of hills and valleys where we are currently sliding away from the summit of nothingness. This push is the silent twin of the attractor's pull, a collaborative effort that ensures our momentum remains constant and perfectly directed. The void operates as a celestial bellows, clearing its own territory and concentrating matter into the dense, glowing highways that we call home. We move because the universe has created a high-pressure zone of emptiness behind us, leaving us with no choice but to follow the gravitational current. This active participation of the nothingness is a beautiful example of how the universe utilizes every part of its architecture to maintain a sense of order. As you let the tension drain from your neck and shoulders, visualize your body as a part of this ancient seeking movement toward a heart that can hold you. The galaxies are not fleeing out of fear, but are simply following the path of least resistance carved out by the geometry of space itself. This natural migration toward density is what allows the universe to build the massive monuments of light that we find so awe-inspiring in the deep dark. Without this instinct for gathering, the universe would be a thin and uniform mist of atoms, lacking the complexity and the beauty of the celestial architecture we see today. The local void serves as the ultimate motivator, a region that provides the impetus for matter to move, evolve, and eventually form the superclusters. This seeking of comfort in the dense regions is the fundamental drive that has shaped the history of every star in our local neighbourhood. Deep within the complex geometry of our local universe, we find that our home resides precisely on the very edge of this silent abyss. We're essentially living on the shoreline of a boundless ocean of nothingness, riding a current of gravity that carries us steadily away from the darkness and toward the light. This specific position grants us a unique perspective on the cosmic landscape, allowing us to witness the stark contrast between the absolute emptiness and the crowded metropolis ahead. Our existence on the frontier of the void defines the specific trajectory and speed at which we travel through the infinite night. We are the pioneers of the galactic flow, moving along the boundary where the vacuum ends and the gravitational basin begins to take hold of our destiny. This precarious and beautiful location ensures that our path is clear, as the silence of the abyss at our back leaves only one direction for us to follow. It is a journey of transition, a movement from the cold and lonely depths toward a future defined by connection and collective mass. Being on the edge of the void is a reminder of the fragility of our position, yet it also provides the momentum that gives our life in the stars its purpose. We are the riders of the boundary, guided by the absence behind us, and pulled by the radiant promise of the great assembly waiting in the distance. The cosmic boundary formed by the sheer size of this empty region acts as an invisible wall, funneling our path through space with a level of precision that no material barrier could achieve. Because the void is so massive and so profoundly lacking in gravitational pull, it creates a forbidden zone through which galaxies cannot easily pass or wander. This forces the entire Laniakea supercluster to flow along narrow corridors of dark matter, shaping the cosmic river into a focused and powerful stream. If we were to look closer at the map of our neighbourhood, we would see that our movement is not a random drift but a carefully channeled passage. The walls of nothingness are just as rigid and unyielding as the most massive cluster, dictating exactly where we can and cannot go in our journey through the vacuum. This funneling effect concentrates our momentum, ensuring that the migration toward the Great Attractor remains an orderly and highly directed process across the eons. It is a remarkable feat of natural engineering, where the empty spaces are used to build the highways of the universe. The void acts as the banks of the river, keeping the water on its course and preventing the galaxies from scattering into the vastness of the expanding dark. This invisible architecture is the secret behind the consistency of our path, a structure that guides us with a silent and unyielding authority. Notice how the science of the heavens reveals that studying the silence of the void is just as vital as studying the Great Attractor itself to truly understand our motion. We cannot appreciate the pull of the destination without also accounting for the push from the departure point, as both forces are essential to the final result. Astronomers have learned that a complete map of our environment requires us to look into the darkness with the same intensity that we apply to the glowing clusters. As you focus on the steady rhythm of your breathing, consider how the gaps in your own story are just as important as the events themselves in determining who you are. The local void is the context for our existence, the hollow space that allows the structure of our supercluster to be defined and seen. Measuring the properties of this abyss has provided the final pieces of the puzzle, allowing our mathematical models of galactic flow to reach a state of near perfection. Without the data from the empty regions, we would be left with an incomplete and confusing picture of why we are moving at such a frantic cruising speed. The void provides the baseline, the 0 point from which all the cosmic currents are measured and understood. This holistic approach to astronomy shows us that every part of the sky, no matter how empty, carries a crucial message about our place in the universe. The common perception of the universe might suggest that voids are expanding like bubbles in a rising loaf of bread, but the reality of the local architecture is more subtle. These regions are not actively growing on their own. Rather, the matter that once resided within them is constantly shrinking away and moving toward the denser clusters. This mass exodus makes the voids appear larger over time, as the boundaries of the glowing filaments recede further into the distance, leaving more empty space behind. It is a process of refinement, where the universe is slowly but surely separating the crowded regions from the lonely ones. The galaxies are like drops of water on a hot surface, skittering away from the centre of the void and gathering at the cooler, more stable edges. This shrinking away of matter is what gives the local void its increasing dominance, turning it into a more and more profound feature of our cosmic geography. By understanding that the void's growth is a result of matter's departure, we see the universe as a dynamic and evolving landscape of movement. The abyss does not have to do anything to grow. It simply remains still while the rest of the universe chooses to congregate elsewhere. This silent expansion of emptiness is a fundamental part of the cosmic life cycle, a slow and majestic widening of the gaps that define our world. This structure creates a complex and highly coordinated interplay between the void's steady push and the attractor's relentless pull, perfectly dictating our cosmic trajectory. We are living in a gravitational harmony where every vector of movement is the result of a massive and silent negotiation between the light and the dark. The push from the local void sets us on our path, while the pull from the supercluster ensures that we remain on target as we hurtle through the vacuum. It is a dual propulsion system that utilizes the extremes of the universe to maintain a steady and unwavering course for thousands of starry archipelagos. This balance ensures that our journey is not chaotic or random, but is instead a beautifully orchestrated passage through the deep architecture of space. The interaction of these two forces is so precise that it can be calculated to the millimetre over millions of light years, revealing a universe of absolute and unshakable order. We move through this interplay with a sense of total and effortless grace, riding the waves of a current that has been flowing since the dawn of time. The partnership between the abyss and the metropolis is the ultimate expression of the universe's unity, a reminder that every force has its counterpart. This trajectory is our cosmic heritage, a path that was built for us by the combined effort of everything that is and everything that is not. It is a profound and deeply comforting realization that even in the vastness and the potential loneliness of space, we are securely guided by these immense and ancient forces. We are never truly adrift in the dark, as the very geometry of the vacuum ensures that we have a destination and a clear way to reach it. The local void and the Great Attractor act together as our cosmic guardians, providing both the nudge from home and the beckoning call to the future. As you sink into a state of total and absolute rest, feel the quiet certainty of being held by a universe that knows exactly where you are going. This guidance is a constant and unyielding presence in our lives, a silent music of gravity that plays across the eons to keep us on our course. The vast distances that once seemed so cold and indifferent are now revealed to be a structured and meaningful landscape of motion and connection. We are the children of the cosmic currents, travellers who belong to a system that is larger and more beautiful than we can ever fully imagine. This security is the final gift of our local geography, a reminder that the universe is a home that looks after its own. We carry this comfort with us as we continue our long and silent slide along the boundary of the abyss, forever moving toward the heart of the stars. This heart of the stars provides a sense of profound security, anchoring our local group within the incomprehensible scale upon which these cosmic events unfold. The entire journey toward the Great Attractor stands as a silent testament to the serene and patient nature of gravity, acting across millions of light years. While human events feel hurried and fraught with friction, the movement of 100,000 galaxies occurs with a majestic, unhurried grace that transcends our understanding of time. By witnessing this scale, we are invited to set aside the frantic rhythms of our daily lives and adopt the slower, deeper pulse of the cosmos. We are participating in a process that began long before the first atoms were forged in the hearts of stars and will continue long after the last sun has faded into the night. This serenity is the ultimate characteristic of our cosmic home, a peacefulness that is built into the very foundation of the expanding vacuum. Surprisingly, we are currently hurtling through the dark at several million miles per hour, yet the night sky appears entirely still and unchanging to our human eyes. This spectacular contrast between our frantic velocity and the perceived frozen beauty of the stars is a gift of the vast distances that define our environment. Because the objects we are falling toward are located hundreds of millions of light years away, their relative positions on the celestial sphere shift by only the tiniest fraction of a degree over a human lifetime. If we were to look closer at the math of our motion, we would see that we are crossing the diameter of our entire solar system in a matter of days. Yet, in the grand perspective of the Laniakea supercluster, we have barely moved the width of a single hair on a cosmic scale. This creates a reality where we can experience the thrill of high-speed travel while remaining anchored in a night sky that looks exactly as it did to our ancient ancestors. The stillness we see is an illusion of perspective, a protective veil that prevents the sheer speed of the universe from overwhelming our senses. It allows us to feel a sense of permanence and stability, even as we participate in a rush through the void that is more powerful than any engine ever conceived. This silent, high-speed flight is the steady background music of our existence, a frantic pace that manifests as a perfect and absolute calm. Notice how the absence of sound in the cosmos mirrors the quiet stillness of your own room as you sink deeper into a state of total and absolute relaxation. Let your breath become a soft and steady companion to the silent music of the spheres that guides the motion of billions of stars. This auditory void is not a sign of emptiness, but rather a characteristic of a medium that transmits the light and the gravity of the heavens without the interference of noise. The silence of the Great Attractor is a profound and comforting reality, suggesting that the most significant changes in our world do not require a loud or disruptive presence. It is a quiet authority that dictates the fate of galaxies, a power that needs no voice to be heard by the mathematical equations of the night. This absolute quietude allows the universe to maintain its serene and focused character, even as it gathers a trillion suns into its heavy and radiant heart. The path toward the centre of the supercluster has been worn smooth by the passage of billions of years, creating a deep and reliable groove that carries us forward with a sense of total inevitability. There are no sudden jolts or changes in direction, only a consistent and unwavering slide toward the ultimate gravitational destination. This lack of friction allows the galaxies to maintain their complex and beautiful shapes, even as they are swept along in the massive tide of the supercluster's assembly. As you feel the rhythmic pulse of your own heart, recognize its steady cadence as a local echo of the orderly flow guiding our galaxy through the stars. We move with the confidence of a ship on a steady wind, trusting in the underlying order of the universe to keep us on our predetermined course. This steady drift is the hallmark of a system that has found its equilibrium, a movement that is as predictable as the rising of the sun and as ancient as the stars themselves. If we were to consider the millions of years it will take for the expansion of the universe to finally carry the clusters out of our reach, we would find a sense of profound and lasting safety. We are living in a long-term sanctuary, a stable period of history that will remain essentially unchanged for as long as there are people to look up at the stars. This vast stretch of time provides a buffer between us and the eventual undoing of our supercluster, allowing us to exist in a state of permanent and unhurried peace. The realization that our cosmic destiny unfolds over eons is a reminder to value the brief and beautiful moments of our own lives. We are travelers on a road that is so long it can never be fully traversed, a path that offers a sense of infinite possibility without the threat of a sudden end. This lack of urgency is the final gift of the Great Attractor, a promise that the serenity of the night sky will endure for a duration that defies all human calculation. Notice how the sudden and profound realization of our absolute cosmic insignificance can actually bring a deep and lasting sense of peace to the human spirit. In the presence of a structure as massive as the Laniakea supercluster, the weight of our individual worries and the scale of our local problems simply evaporate into the vastness of the void. We are granted the freedom to be small, to exist as tiny and meaningful participants in a grand and beautiful design that does not depend on our effort or our success. Allow your mind to rest in this smallness, letting the tension of the day dissolve as you contemplate the massive, silent giants that hold up the heavens. This humility is not a sign of weakness, but is a source of immense strength and clarity that allows us to see the world as it truly is. By accepting our smallness, we are also accepting our connection to something that is infinite, ancient, and profoundly stable in its own existence. We are undeniably part of a massive and ancient flow that requires absolutely nothing from us but the simple and profound act of existing within its currents. The universe does not ask for our labour, our understanding, or our consent to carry us toward the heavy heart of the supercluster. It simply includes us in its grand and silent migration. This is a journey of total and absolute surrender to the natural laws that govern the movement of every atom and every galaxy in the local neighbourhood. This ancient flow has been directed by the same invisible hands of gravity for billions of years, creating a sense of continuity that links us to the very beginning of cosmic time. We are the inheritors of a momentum that was set in motion by the distribution of dark matter in the early universe, a legacy that we carry with us through the night. The effortlessness of our participation is a testament to the efficiency of the cosmic machine, a system that moves with a single mind and a single purpose. By resting in this flow, we find a sense of belonging that transcends our physical location or our local identity. We are the citizens of the current, travellers who are bound together by a shared destiny that is as wide as the heavens and as deep as the vacuum. This lack of requirement is the ultimate expression of the universe's grace, allowing us to be passengers on a voyage that is both ancient and entirely free of burden or cost. If we were to look closer, we would see that the Great Attractor is not a distant threat or a dark monster lurking in the void, but is rather the majestic anchor of our galactic home. It provides the centre of gravity that holds our supercluster together, acting as the stabilising force that prevents our neighbourhood from scattering into the vast and indifferent emptiness of the deep. This massive node is the heart of Laniakea, the focal point around which 100,000 galaxies perform their slow and beautiful dance. This anchor gives our cosmic neighbourhood a sense of place and identity, defining the boundaries of our local world within the infinite expanse of the dark. It is the solid ground of the universe, a point of reference that allows us to map our path and understand our relationship to the rest of the cosmos. Without this heavy and constant heart, our journey through space would be a random and directionless drift, lacking the structure and the meaning that we find so comforting. Recognizing the attractor as an anchor allows us to look toward the southern sky with a sense of reverence and appreciation for the forces that keep us safe. It is the guardian of our supercluster, a majestic and unmoving sentinel that ensures our galactic family stays together as we move through the void. This anchor is the foundation of our existence in the stars, a steady and reliable presence that provides the ultimate grounding for our long and silent celestial journey. This structure of the cosmos serves as a constant and beautiful reminder that we belong to an architecture far grander and more complex than our solitary and local sun. While our solar system provides the light and the warmth for our immediate world, it is the Great Attractor and the Laniakea supercluster that provide the address and the context for our entire life. We are members of a stellar community that spans 500 million light years, a network of light and dark matter that dwarfs the small and localized concerns of our single star. This grander belonging provides a sense of perspective that expands our horizons far beyond the limits of our own solar neighborhood. We are not just residents of Earth or citizens of the Milky Way, but are active participants in the assembly of the largest structures ever identified by human science. This realization allows us to see ourselves as part of a magnificent and ancient hierarchy of light, where every level of existence is connected to the one above it. The sun is our local hearth, but the supercluster is our true and final home, a territory that is vast enough to contain the dreams and the histories of a quadrillion worlds. By identifying with this grander structure, we find a sense of continuity and permanence that is not possible on the scale of a single star. We are the children of the supercluster, travellers who carry the memory of the sun within the vast and beautiful blueprints of the deep and expanding universe. Our endless and ultimately unfulfilled journey toward the Great Attractor is, in its very essence, one of the most beautiful and poetic facts in all of natural existence. The reality that we are falling toward a heart we can never truly touch is not a failure of physics, but a masterpiece of cosmic design that preserves the mystery and the scale of the dark. It ensures that the quest for the centre remains a permanent part of our identity, a constant and beautiful pull that defines our flight through the infinite night. This unfulfilled promise is what gives our journey its energy, its direction, and its enduring sense of wonder as we gaze out at the distant and glowing filaments of the cosmic web. We are participants in a grand and beautiful longing, a movement that values the process of the fall more than the impact of the arrival. This beauty lies in the persistent and unyielding connection that gravity maintains across the void, a link that never falters even as the universe stretches. The Great Attractor remains the ultimate horizon, a destination that guides our destiny without ever demanding its conclusion. We're at peace with this endless voyage, recognizing that the most profound journeys are the ones that never truly end. This is the final truth of our cosmic geography, a journey that is both absolute in its direction and infinite in its duration, a beautiful and silent slide through the heart of the stars toward a home that is always just beyond the next horizon. The true wonder of the Great Attractor is not that it pulls us toward an unreachable destination, but that it reveals our profound connection to the silent, enduring heartbeat of the entire universe. This final realization brings every cosmic thread together into a single unified truth. The true wonder of the Great Attractor is not that it pulls us toward an unreachable destination, but that it reveals our profound connection to the silent, enduring heartbeat of the entire universe. It is the ultimate expression of our place in a grand design that is both vast and deeply intimate. Deep within the stillness of your room, the same gravity that guides the Milky Way now settles into your toes. Feel them growing heavy and warm, as if they are part of the very foundation of the Earth itself. The pull of the universe is a gentle weight, grounding you in this moment of absolute rest. Surprisingly, the muscles in your calves and thighs know exactly how to let go, surrendering to the steady support of the surface beneath you. Your legs are like the long, quiet filaments of the cosmic web, resting after an eon of silent travel. Everything in your lower body is becoming heavy, still, and calm. Notice the weight of your hips and the base of your spine as they sink into the mattress. This quiet room is a sanctuary where the laws of the universe manifest as simple, restorative comfort. The tension in your lower back dissolves, flowing away like gas stripped from a falling galaxy into the deep dark. If we were to look closer, we would see your chest and shoulders expanding and contracting with the rhythm of a massive ancient breath. Each inhale is a gathering of peace, and each exhale is a release of the day's lingering energy. Your arms and hands lie perfectly still at your sides, heavy like the ancient elliptical centers of a quiet, distant cluster. Your neck and jaw soften now, releasing any last traces of effort or persistent thought. The coolness of the pillow against your skin is a soothing touch, a final invitation to slide into a dreamless state. Everything is perfectly still, perfectly quiet, and perfectly safe in the darkness. A deep and heavy warmth spreads across your forehead and around your eyes, smoothing every line. The blankets are a soft embrace, a cocoon of fabric that holds you in a state of total and absolute security. Your thoughts are fading like embers in a hearth, leaving behind only the gentle glow of a mind at rest. Focus entirely on the air as it moves softly in and out of your lungs. This slow and steady pulse is the only clock that matters now, a natural rhythm that requires no attention or control. You're drifting on a sea of shadows, carried by a tide that is both deep and welcoming. This slow movement of breath is a cycle of renewal, a quiet promise of rest. Each time you exhale, your body sinks a little further into the softness of the bed. The world outside has faded away, leaving only this peaceful moment of quiet and shadow. The room is an echoless chamber of peace, where the only sound is the quiet whisper of your own existence. Every muscle has surrendered its work, and every nerve has finally found its silence. You're falling through the softest layers of rest, moving toward a place of absolute stillness and renewal. You are home, you are safe, and you are ready to let go into sleep. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.